Chapter 529. Chu Fengmian shouted coldly. Facing the flaming saber, Chu Fengmian was tempted. Countless golden flames gathered in Chu Fengmian's palm. The golden flames were dancing with countless dragon shadows. It was none other than the purest dragon flames. Boom! Chu Fengmian waved his hand and countless dragon flames swept out, turning the sky into a sea of fire. The two flames collided and Wang Ji's raging flame saber was devoured by the dragon flames. After devouring the raging flame saber, the dragon flames did not stop and swept towards Wang Ji. The dragon flames suddenly swept out, catching Wang Ji off guard. He didn't expect that he would lose. Wang Ji's figure wanted to retreat, but Chu Fengmian directly raised his palm in the air and slapped towards him. Die! The slap was merciless and filled with killing intent. It fell from the sky and went straight for Wang Ji. Stop! A few disciples of the desolate ancient sect shouted at the same time. Chu Fengmian glanced at the disciples of the desolate ancient sect and sneered. The spiritual energy in his hand did not stop. Boom! With a loud bang, Wang Ji's body was shattered by the power of the slap. His blood essence gushed out and was collected by Chu Fengmian with a wave of his hand. This sudden turn of events was simply unimaginable to anyone. Wang Ji, who was almost invincible, was killed by Chu Fengmian in one move. Even the disciples of the desolate ancient sect could not react in time. By the time they reacted and tried to stop Chu Fengmian's slap had already landed on them. In the face of Wang Ji, Chu Fengmian had already unleashed his full strength. Wang Ji's strength was similar to Prince Baigu and Holy Sun Guigu. Since Chu Fengmian could easily kill the two of them, killing Wang Ji would be a piece of cake. Chu Fengmian would never show mercy to the people of the 7 major sections. Trash of the desolate ancient sect, how dare you attack me? Today, I'll kill you and teach you a lesson. I'll let you know who you can't afford to offend. Chu Fengmian shouted coldly. The moment Chu Fengmian saw the disciples of the desolate ancient sect, his heart was already filled with killing intent. But since Wang Ji had asked for it, Chu Fengmian would fulfill his wish. The people of the 7 great sects had to die. Sooner or later, Chu Fengmian would use the blood of the 7 great sects to pay tribute to his master. Chu Fengmian's words caused an uproar. Countless people looked at Chu Fengmian as if he were a madman. The disciples of the barren ancient sect were respected no matter where they went. Many sects would not even dare to offend an inner disciple, because of the 7 great sects behind them. However, Chu Fengmian's words, calling the desolate ancient sect trash, had implicated the desolate ancient sect as well. This was something that only a madman would do. Too arrogant. Who was this person? How could he have such strength? When did such a person appear in our northern region? Wang Ji has a special bloodline, but he was killed by this person with a single move. Good. Well done. Let the disciples of the desolate ancient sect know that we, the martial artists of the northern region, are not to be trifled with. Countless voices rang out from the crowd. Even many of the northern region's martial artists suddenly felt a lot more elated. Indeed, the martial artists of the northern region were born to be inferior to the 7 great sections. Even in the face of robbery, they could only swallow their pride. Ruthless. Too ruthless. Kanglinba looked at Chu Fengmian and sighed. This kid is ruthless. He killed Wang Ji with a single move without mercy. He even dares to kill a disciple of the desolate ancient sect. Even Kanglinba did not dare to go against the disciples of the desolate ancient sect. With his strength, he might not be afraid of the disciples of the desolate ancient sect. However, if he really offended them, he would be hunted down by the entire desolate ancient sect in the future. This person is as arrogant as the rumors say. Luo Zhanghan looked at Chu Fengmian with coldness and even jealousy. Chu Fengmian was just a newcomer in the Beimang Academy. Luo Zhanghan was jealous of Chu Fengmian because he had such strength. He wanted to use the disciples of the desolate ancient sect to destroy Chu Fengmian. However, he did not expect Chu Fengmian to be in the limelight. Interesting. Wang Ji is dead. The desolate ancient sect will not let this matter rest. Ku Xiutian looked at Chu Fengmian and said with interest. Angry dual eyes, special bloodline, unlimited potential. Just like that, he is dead. The disciples of the desolate ancient sect were infuriated when they heard the commotion. Wang Ji! Wang Ji is dead. His bloodline power has disappeared. That's right. He is dead. There is no chance for him to survive. A few of the disciples of the desolate ancient sect observed carefully. They could not believe that Wang Ji was dead. But now, the aura of Wang Ji's bloodline had completely disappeared. This also meant that Wang Ji was as dead as a doornail. There was no chance for him to survive. Despicable brat. How dare you kill Wang Ji? A disciple of the desolate ancient sect stood out and looked at Chu Fengmian with murderous intent. You are so young and vicious. You will definitely become a demon in the future. Today, I, Rong Bei, will kill you and rid the 9 regions of a demon. Thump. Suddenly, a long saber appeared in Rong Bei's hand. When the long saber was unsheathed, the saber radiance filled the surroundings. Die! The saber did not stop. The moment it was unsheathed, it slashed towards Chu Fengmian. When the saber slashed out, the speed of the saber was so fast that it could cut through time and space. It was so fast that it reached its limit. When the saber was unsheathed, no one could see how the saber was slashed out. However, the countless people present were all able to sense how dangerous that slash was. The blade was so fast that they could not see it clearly. How could they block it? None of them dared to say that they could block it. Even Kang Wenba, Ku Xiutian, and the others looked solemn when they saw the saber. None of the disciples of the desolate ancient sect were ordinary. Wang Ji had a special bloodline. His angry dual eyes was invincible in the same realm. As for Rong Bei, he had directly comprehended a supreme saber technique. The extremely fast saber slashed towards Chu Fengmian in an instant. Chapter 530. In an instant, the blade of the saber was approaching Chu Fengmian. Rong Bei's saber was a saber that had comprehended the word fast to the extreme. As soon as the blade came out, everyone was shocked. Who could resist such a fast blade? Instant saber? Chu Fengmian's face was extremely calm. The corners of his eyes were slightly raised, and he was extremely calm. In the face of the extremely terrifying saber attack, Chu Fengmian's eyes were full of indifference. Your instant saber is still a little short. The moment you can see the blade clearly, it's meaningless at all. Chu Fengmian slowly raised his hand and grasped in the air. The almost invisible saber shadow suddenly froze in front of him. He blocked it. Countless gazes from the crowd all looked over. Following that, when the blade silhouette came to a stop, every single one of them was unable to believe their eyes. Rong Bei's extremely terrifying blade was actually caught by Chu Fengmian directly in his hand. The saber was held in Chu Fengmian's hand and could not be moved. How is it possible? Everyone present knew how terrible Rong Bei's saber was. They couldn't even see the saber's edge clearly. It was extremely difficult to dodge it. But now, it was actually blocked by someone. Furthermore, it was blocked by someone barehanded. Even the blade was caught in that person's hand. That scene caused everyone's expression to greatly change. None of them had thought that there would actually be someone capable of grabbing such a terrifying blade. Even Rong Bei himself was shocked to the extreme, especially when Chu Fengmian said the words instant saber. Rong Bei's saber technique was not comprehended by himself. It was a saber technique that he obtained by chance in an ancient cave mansion. The name of this saber technique was called instant saber. For a long time, he did not know how many warriors had failed to use this instant saber. He never dreamed that it would be blocked by someone barehanded. Even the blade was caught by Chu Fengmian. No matter how hard he tried. The saber was tightly held in Chu Fengmian's hand. It was not something he could shake at all. Chu Fengmian looked at Rong Bei and said coldly. The way of the instant saber is actually unconventional. It only has speed. If it is seen through by others, it is worthless. You haven't reached the realm of the bladeless man. Your instant saber can only deal with some trash. Who the hell are you? Rong Bei's face changed completely when he heard the words bladeless man. This bladeless swordsman was an expert from the ancient era. He was called the bladeless swordsman because no one had ever seen his blade before. However, all of them had died by his blade. He was the person who had mastered the word fast in his blade technique. Apart from being powerful, Rong Bei's saber technique was also unpredictable. It was also his most powerful move. However, all of this was seen through by Chu Fengmian. You're too much. Chu Fengmian shook his head. In Chu Fengmian's eyes, the disciples of the 7 great sects were all dead. Sword! Chu Fengmian shouted. The scarlet flame sword appeared in his hand. Chu Fengmian held the sword. His aura was completely different from before. 10,000 sword. 10,000 swords in one. Boom! The sword in Chu Fengmian's hand suddenly fell. The moment the sword fell, it was accompanied by an extremely powerful sword intent. The sword fell. Heaven and earth were destroyed. As the sword fell, the sword edge rose crazily and became extremely huge. It turned into a terrifying sword edge that was thousands of feet long. Fight! At the same time, Chu Fengmian activated the power of the battle dragon technique. Countless dragon power condensed on the sword edge. The sword fell. It not only had the sharpness of a sword, but also the enormous power of a dragon. The huge sword aura fell. It was so oppressive that it was hard to breathe. What kind of sword technique is this? What level has this person's strength reached? Is this really something a warrior of the 4th level of the divine power realm can do? Shocked faces were seen. This sword was countless times more terrifying than Rong Bei's saber. Rong Bei's blade was fast, extremely fast. However, the power behind it wasn't too strong. It made people feel that there was still a chance for them to resist it. But now, Chu Fengmian's sword was absolutely terrifying. The sharp edge of the sword and the extremely strong power were combined into one sword. The moment people felt the power of the sword edge, they were all in despair. They did not have the courage to resist or even think that it was possible to resist. Impossible. How can an ant from the north region do this? Rong Bei muttered to himself as he retreated in defeat under the pressure of this power. His eyes were filled with fear. In the face of this terrifying sword, he didn't even have the courage to resist. Ant from the north region? So what if you are from the 7 sects? If you dare to come against me, I will kill you. It's the same for the people from the 7 sects. Chu Fengmian looked at Rong Bei with eyes full of killing intent. I'll kill you first, the bird that stands out. Kacha! The saber in front of Rong Bei shattered instantly. His saber was also an Earth-grade spiritual weapon. But even an Earth-grade spiritual weapon was meaningless in front of Chu Fengmian's sword. It was destroyed immediately. Even Rong Bei's body was being devoured by the sword edge. Is this person really at the 4th level of the divine power realm? Not the 4th level of the life and death realm? Even a 4th level life and death realm warrior can't condense such a terrifying saber edge. Rong Bei is going to be defeated by him. The remaining 3 disciples of the desolate ancient sect shouted at the top of their lungs. Damn it! Hurry up and help! Stop! 3 yells sounded at the same time. The remaining 3 desolate ancient sect disciples could not help but attack at the same time. Countless martial skills bombarded Chu Fengmian. Stop! Chu Fengmian glanced at the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples and said disdainfully. Who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to stop? Battle Dragon Claw, break! Chu Fengmian immediately condensed the power in his bloodline. More than 6,000 drops of ancient battle dragon blood essence were condensed in an instant. This time, the appearance of the battle dragon claw was much more lifelike. The dragon scales were engraved with ancient patterns. They were much more detailed than the ones he had condensed before. The dragon power contained in it was also refined to another level. Chapter 531. The more ancient battle dragon blood essence Chufengmian condensed, the more powerful his dragon clan martial skill would be. By the time Chufengmian condensed all 129,600 drops of ancient battle dragon blood essence Chufengmian, the dragon clan martial skill that Chufengmian used would be no different from a real ancient battle dragon. An incomparably huge battle dragon claw descended from the sky. The expressions of the three desolate ancient sect disciples changed drastically. They frantically circulated their power to resist the battle dragon claw. Rumble! As the claw descended, the three of them exerted all their strength, but the impact caused their blood vessels to churn. How powerful was an ancient battle dragon? It could probably shatter a mountain range with a single claw. Although Chufengmian couldn't do that, his battle dragon art had reached minor completion. It was far from what the three of them could contend against. How could this be? The three of them wanted to save Rongbei, but were sent flying by this person. 1 against 3, and he still has the upper hand. These three aren't ordinary people. They are desolate ancient sect disciples. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? The martial artists of the North region couldn't believe what they were seeing. First, Wang Ji was killed by Chufengmian's palm. Next, Rongbei was forced to retreat under Chufengmian's sword. Now, even the three desolate ancient sect disciples were sent flying by Chufengmian's battle dragon claw. In fact, many of them even felt that they were dreaming. Was all of this really something a cultivator at the 4th level of the Divine Force realm could achieve? Even a 4th level life and death realm martial artist wouldn't be able to do this. Even with the strength of the three of us, we were still sent flying. How can this person be so strong? One of the desolate ancient sect disciples was sent flying. His body trembled, and his face was filled with shock. They were all desolate ancient sect disciples. When they came to the North region, they didn't put anyone in their eyes. In their opinion, even the famous geniuses in the North region were just ordinary people. They were even trash and ants. Wang Ji and Rongbei's defeat could be said to be a coincidence. But now that the three of them had joined forces, they were actually sent flying by Chufengmian. This was no longer a coincidence. A disciple of the desolate ancient sect shouted. No matter what, we have to save Rongbei. Wang Ji is dead. If Rongbei dies, we will all be punished by the sect. Every disciple of the barren ancient sect was an elite. The death of Wang Ji, who had a special bloodline, was already a big deal. If Rongbei died as well, it would be a big deal. The three of them looked at each other and nodded at the same time. At the same time, a powerful aura burst out. The Great Tao of Desolation. Under this majestic aura, an incomparably huge Great Tao was formed. Before this Great Tao, it was as if everything in the world was about to be suppressed. Brat, I'll give you a chance now. Let Rongbei go, and we'll spare your life. We'll just suppress you and bring you to the sect for trial. A desolate ancient sect disciple stood on the desolate ancient avenue, looking down at Chufengmian. This is your last chance. Don't be stubborn. No matter how strong you are, only death awaits you if you dare to go against the 7 sections. Who do you think you are? What are the 7 sects? Only death awaits? Today, I'd like to see who's going to die. The killing intent in Chufengmian's eyes intensified. How dare they use the 7 sects to threaten Chufengmian? They had touched his reverse scale. He hated the 7 sects to the core. Now that the three of them had used the 7 sects to threaten Chufengmian, they had touched his reverse scale. Die, all of you. Today, none of you will live. Chufengmian roared. With a thought, the power of the sword became stronger. It swept across the countless forces and suppressed Rongbei's last bit of space. Ah! I'm from the 7 sects. I'm a disciple of the desolate ancient sect. If anyone dares to kill me, the desolate ancient sect will kill you forever. Rongbei looked at Chufengmian and roared loudly. However, his threat would only hasten his death. Die! Chufengmian sneered. The sword in Chufengmian's hand fell bit by bit. Rongbei's last bit of space disappeared. Rong Bei's body was broken into pieces. In the secret chamber, only his miserable screams were left. Kill him! He really killed him! Rong Bei's miserable screams were heard. Countless people present looked at Chu Fengmian as if they were looking at a real madman. Killing 2 disciples of the sect of the desolate ancient sect in front of everyone was a lunatic. No, even a madman would hesitate and not dare to take action when he heard that the desolate ancient sect was one of the 7 sections. Even the devil of the earth demon sect could only flatter and treat him as a distinguished guest when he heard the name of the 7 sections. The 7 sects were giants that had been rooted in the 9 regions for tens of thousands of years. How powerful were they? No one would be able to shake them. Any force, any expert, and even many solitary experts had to give face to the 7 sections. But now, under the threat of the 3 disciples of the desolate ancient sect, Chu Fengmian still killed Rong Bei without hesitation. This action showed that he had never taken the 7 sects and the desolate ancient sect seriously. Arrogance and arrogance were no longer enough to describe Chu Fengmian. There was only one word that could describe Chu Fengmian. He was as crazy as a madman. Damn it! When the 3 disciples of the desolate ancient sect heard Rong Bei's miserable screams, their faces were full of anger. Little bastard, you've done well. How dare you kill a disciple of the desolate ancient sect? How dare you belittle the dignity of the desolate ancient sect? Little bastard, just wait for the endless pursuit of the ancient desolation sect. No, the 7 sects have a common enemy. What you're waiting for is the endless pursuit of the 7 great sects. A disciple of the desolate ancient sect shouted angrily at Chu Fengmian. So what if you are a disciple of the Beimang Academy? The Beimang Academy can't protect you. No matter where you run to, you will still die. Let's go! With that, the disciple of the desolate ancient sect turned around and was about to leave. Wait, did I allow you to leave? An icy voice could be heard. With a wave of Chu Fengmian's hand, countless barriers sealed off the entire secret chamber. Chapter 532. The barren ancient sect disciples had been arrogant when they came and sealed the space. But now, the situation was completely reversed. The barren ancient sect disciple looked at Chu Fengmian and shouted angrily. Brat, what do you want? What do I want? Chu Fengmian curled his lips and said coldly. Didn't I just say it? Why? Are you deaf? Can't you hear me? Then I'll tell you one more time. None of you will leave here alive today. Chu Fengmian's words were filled with killing intent. If he wanted to kill, he wouldn't kill a single one of them. All the barren ancient sect disciples had to die today. As for the remaining 3, could it be that they were waiting for the 3 of them to inform Chu Fengmian so that they could deal with him? Chu Fengmian's words caused an uproar. Chu Fengmian had already killed Wang Xi and Rong Bei. But that wasn't enough. Chu Fengmian's words meant that he wanted to kill all 5 of the barren ancient sect disciples. His words were extremely arrogant. Little bastard, you're courting death. When the 3 barren ancient sect disciples heard Chu Fengmian's words, they could no longer hold back their anger. The 3 of them were disciples of the barren ancient sect and were absolute geniuses. But in Chu Fengmian's words, they were like tofu that he could do whatever he wanted with them. Today, we'll kill you even if we have to sacrifice the ancient god elixir. The 3 barren ancient sect disciples each took out a spiritual elixir. The spiritual elixir was engraved with complicated runes. Ancient God Elixir. This is the ancient God elixir that the barren ancient sect specially refined. Some of the North region martial artists were filled with fear when they saw the ancient God elixir. The ancient God elixir was a unique spiritual elixir refined by the barren ancient sect. It was a unique elixir that only the barren ancient sect could refine. It was extremely famous in the North region. Once a disciple of the desolate ancient sect consumed the desolate ancient divine pill, their potential would be instantly stimulated and their strength would increase by several folds. Therefore, consuming a desolate ancient divine pill was definitely the most powerful tactic in a battle. Little bastard, we didn't plan to waste the ancient God elixir on you. Now that you've angered us, we'll fulfill your wish today. Go to hell! The 3 disciples of the desolate ancient sect roared at the same time and swallowed the ancient god pill. The moment they consumed the ancient god pill, their hearts were filled with heartache. Even in the desolate ancient sect, the ancient god elixir was an extremely valuable item. They had spent a huge sum of money to obtain it. It was meant to be used when exploring Dragon Emperor Yan's cave dwelling. After swallowing and refining the desolate god pill, the strength of the 3 desolate ancient sect's disciples instantly skyrocketed. Their cultivation base also leaped into the first layer of life and death realm. Just the aura on his body was enough to contend against a 4th-level life and death realm expert. No one can go against the ancient desolate sect and the 7 great sects. Little bastard, you must die today. After the strength of the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples skyrocketed, countless spiritual energies started to converge. It transformed into a massive path in the sky. As the 3 of them stepped onto the desolate ancient path, their auras became even more terrifying. Ancient god pill? To deal with me, they're really going all out. Chu Fenmian sneered in his heart as he looked at the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples. Chu Fenmian naturally knew about the ancient god pill. It was a unique pill of the desolate ancient sect. It could stimulate the potential of the desolate ancient sect disciples and increase their strength. However, stimulating one's potential was an extremely crazy thing. Consuming the ancient god pill could indeed increase one's strength significantly in a short period of time. However, once the pill lost its effect, their potential would be greatly damaged, and it would be difficult for them to improve further. It could be said that it was a method of mutual destruction. Little bastard, the bloodline in your body is definitely not an ordinary Dragon Clan bloodline. It might even be the bloodline of a Dragon King or Dragon Emperor. If we kill you and take your bloodline, we can make up for all our losses. One of the desolate ancient sect disciples looked at Chu Fenmian and shouted. Prepare to die. Desolate ancient path. Condense. The spiritual energies of the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples were completely activated. Waves of spiritual energy started to condense, and the surrounding void started to change. The desolate ancient path under their feet also started to turn from illusory to solid. Eventually, it turned into a bronze-colored path. Countless ancient inscriptions were engraved on the desolate ancient path. The 3 desolate ancient sect disciples stood on the desolate ancient path, as if they had transcended everything in the world. They were separated from the surrounding space. The desolate ancient path has been condensed. With the desolate ancient path condensed by the 3 of them, even an ordinary life and death realm expert would have a hard time breaking it. This is too terrifying. The 3 of them are comparable to life and death realm experts. Who can break the desolate ancient path formed by their combined strength? Legend has it that the desolate ancient path can connect to the desolate ancient path. Standing on it is equivalent to being in the desolate ancient era. It can cross space, and all spiritual energies will be ineffective. On the contrary, the attacks of these desolate ancient sect disciples contain the power of the desolate ancient era. Every move of theirs is countless times stronger. This is simply an invincible technique. This kid has kicked an iron plate this time. He failed to keep his opponent and is about to be killed. No matter how many techniques he has, they are all meaningless in front of the desolate ancient path. Some of the North region martial artists who had heard of the desolate ancient path shook their heads. Once the desolate ancient path was formed, the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples were already in an invincible position. There was no suspense in the following battle. Little bastard, go and repent after you're dead. You dare to go against our desolate ancient sect. There is only one outcome for you, and that is to fall forever. Perish. A desolate ancient sect disciple stood on the desolate ancient path, looking down at Chu Fenmian as he shouted. Desolate ancient path. Perish. Rumble. The desolate ancient sect disciple condensed his spiritual energy and swept it over. This spiritual energy seemed ordinary, but when it was formed by the desolate ancient path, it suddenly contained countless mysterious powers. This was the desolate ancient path that could cross space and time. His casual attack had turned into the most mysterious martial technique. This desolate ancient path was like a tsunami, crazily sweeping over, directly engulfing Chu Fengmian's body. Under this power, no one below the life and death realm could resist. Chapter 533. The ancient desolation energy turned into a huge ocean. The endless energy was like a tsunami, sucking Chu Fengmian's body into it. The desolation Tao could turn the simplest spiritual energy into the terrifying ancient desolation energy. Once the ancient desolation energy was unleashed, it was invincible and could devour everything. The entire secret chamber seemed to be shaking under the impact of the energy. The 3 desolate ancient sect disciples were geniuses. Each of them was strong enough to fight against a second-tier life and death realm martial artist. Now that they had devoured the ancient god pill, their cultivation level had skyrocketed to the 4th-tier life and death realm. Now that the 3 of them had joined forces and condensed the desolation Tao, the energy that burst out could kill 100 peak saints instantly. It's over. This kid is dead for sure under such a terrifying attack. He dares to go against the 7 major sects and the desolate ancient sect. He's digging his own grave. The desolate ancient sect is a colossus. A single strand of hair from them can crush an ant like him. All kinds of spiritual consciousnesses were intertwined. Some were mocking, some were regretful. Everyone present felt that Chu Fengmian was doomed. In order to kill this brat, we wasted a desolate god pill each. We even overdrew our potential. We really paid a huge price. A desolate ancient sect disciple looked at Chu Fengmian, who was drowned in the ancient desolation energy, and said slowly, "But if we kill him and get his bloodline, we can make up for all our losses." Such a small fry can have such terrifying strength after a fortuitous encounter. Plus, the opening of the ancient Yen Dragon Emperor Cave Mansion. The North region has many fortuitous encounters. Kill him and get his fortuitous encounter. Although we won't get much when we return to the desolate ancient sect, we can still soar and have a bright future. The desolate ancient sect disciples talked to each other as they watched Chu Fengmian being attacked by the ancient desolation energy. Bang! Suddenly, an extremely pure dragon's aura resounded in the ancient desolation energy. The moment this dragon's aura resounded, the surrounding ancient desolation energy seemed to be intimidated and began to crack. The secret chamber began to shake violently, and countless amounts of spiritual energy suddenly burst out from within. Primordial power? Compared to 10,000 years ago, the disciples of the ancient Baron sect can't even be compared. They can't even gather 1/10 of the ancient Baron force. Do you think you can suppress me? A loud laugh rang out. Everyone present could hear the mockery in his laughter. Boom! The sea of primordial power suddenly split into 2. Chu Fengmian leaped out with the scarlet flame sword in hand. Shattered sea. Chu Fengmian's sword intent merged with the power of the battle dragon technique at the same time, completely condensing on the sword in his hand. As the sword descended, the ocean formed by the power of the ancient desolate realm began to shatter. The sea-shattering sword was one of the 3 swords that Chu Fengmian had created in his previous life. The swordsmanship that Chu Fengmian had created in his previous life was only theoretical and could not be put into practice. Now, Chu Fengmian finally had enough strength to put the swordsmanship that he had created into practice. Rumble! The vast ocean formed by the power of the ancient desolate realm collapsed in an instant. The power of the ancient desolate realm was enough to crush the ocean, but it collapsed just like that. Impossible! How can the ancient desolate realm be broken so easily? What kind of swordsmanship is this? I haven't even seen it before. This swordsmanship has reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship. A sect of the Baron ancient sect disciple exclaimed. He could only watch helplessly as the power of the Baron ancient sect was destroyed. The moment the ancient desolate realm was formed, their victory should have been decided. Who would have thought that Chu Fengmian would break it so easily? Don't be afraid. So what if he can dissolve the ancient desolate realm once? We have formed the ancient desolate realm and we will never be defeated. Continue to attack. I don't believe that this brat can resist. A disciple of the ancient Baron's sect shouted. Another boundless ancient desolate realm swept out from the ancient desolate realm and bombarded Chu Fengmian. It's useless. Chu Fengmian snorted. The sword in his hand moved again. With a slash, the ancient desolate realm was broken again. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's body disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, he appeared in front of the ancient desolate realm. What are you trying to do? You are courting death by going against the ancient desolate realm. We are stepping on the ancient desolate realm. Let's see how you are going to fight against us. The three disciples of the ancient Baron's sect were shocked when they saw Chu Fengmian rushing over. Then, they sneered. After the ancient desolate realm was formed, they stepped on it. This meant that all forces in the ancient desolate realm would be cancelled out by time and space. They were almost invincible. Is that so? Stepping on the ancient desolate realm? You are just borrowing the power of the ancient desolate realm. Break! Chu Fengmian roared and moved the sword in his hand. The sword slashed on the ancient desolate realm. Is he crazy? The ancient desolate realm is invincible. This brat is trying to resist the power of the ancient desolate realm. Before the disciples of the ancient Baron's sect could finish their questioning. In the next moment, the seemingly ancient Great Tao on the desolate ancient Great Tao started to shatter layer by layer. The power within it seemed to have been completely stripped away. Without the support of power, it shattered on the spot. So what if you have the ancient desolate realm? You are just borrowing the power of the ancient desolate realm. Today, I will sever the river of time and space. I will break your ancient desolate realm. Chu Fengmian roared loudly. His voice was like a dragon's roar. The tip of his sword moved and slashed on the ancient desolate realm. Behind the ancient desolate realm was a huge and deep river. This river was deeper than any other river. It came from the river of time. The ancient desolate realm was absorbing the power of the ancient desolate realm from this river. The river of time and space will be destroyed in front of me. My sword is enough to destroy the ancient desolate realm. Anyone who goes against me will be destroyed. Chu Fengmian's sword slashed down and the river of time and space was broken on the spot. Countless people watched helplessly as Chu Fengmian broke the ancient desolate realm and even severed the river of time and space behind it. Pfft! The three disciples of the ancient Baron's sect were sent flying. They vomited blood from the impact of the sword. Without the protection of the ancient desolate realm, the strength of the three of them was nothing in front of Chu Fengmian. Chapter 534. The nearly invincible desolation Great Tao was broken by Chu Fengmian's sword in front of everyone. Even the river of time and space behind the desolation Great Tao was destroyed by Chu Fengmian's sword. Oh my God! What kind of strength is this? How much power is this person hiding? When did such a terrifying genius appear in our North region? His strength has already surpassed the North Sea Academy's seed disciples. Could he be the next Yi Tianjun? The desolation Great Tao created by the three desolate ancient sect disciples by consuming the desolate ancient divine pill was broken just like that. How is this possible? Voices of astonishment rang out one after another. Countless eyes looked at Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian took a step forward. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and grabbed at the desolate ancient sect disciples. The desolate ancient Great Tao was broken. Impossible. The desolate ancient Great Tao that we condensed might not even be broken by a high-level life and death realm expert. How could it be broken by this brat's sword? The three desolate ancient sect disciples were forced to retreat. Their eyes were filled with shock. Until now, they still hadn't recovered from their shock. The desolate ancient Great Tao had already been condensed. The three of them should have been invincible. But right before their eyes, the desolate ancient Great Tao was broken by Chu Fengmian's sword. The desolate ancient Great Tao was the foundation of the desolate ancient sect. Everyone in the 9 regions knew how powerful it was. But now, it was broken by a 4th-level divine power realm martial artist. Who would have thought that it would be broken? The desolate ancient sect has been arrogant since 10,000 years ago. Who would have thought that after 10,000 years, not only did they not change their arrogance, but their disciples are also getting worse and worse. Chu Fengmian looked at the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples and shouted coldly. The 3 of you have had some fortuitous encounters. Killing you is enough to make up for my loss. Come here. The desolate ancient great Tao that the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples had condensed with almost all their strength had already been broken. They didn't have any strength to fight back. In front of Chu Fengmian, they were grabbed and held in the palm of his hand. Each and every one of their faces turned red. You can't kill us. We're disciples of the desolate ancient sect, so much nonsense. Since I've already killed 2 of them, the 3 of you won't make a difference. Chu Fengmian snorted coldly as he exerted more force in his hands. The 3 desolate ancient sect disciples were squashed flat by this force. Stop! You can't kill these 3. A voice could be heard all of a sudden, as a figure dashed out from the side. This figure was tall and filled with hatred. It was none other than Luo Zhanhen. Luo Zhanhen reached out to grab Chu Fengmian. It seemed like he wanted to rescue the 3 desolate ancient sect disciples from Chu Fengmian. Humph! Chu Fengmian glanced at Luo Zhanhen and increased the strength in his hand. The 3 disciples of the desolate ancient sect screamed in agony before they were crushed by Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and collected all of their fortuitous encounters, blood auras, and spatial rings. Damn it! Luo Zhanhen looked at Chu Fengmian with a flushed face. He had already spoken, but Chu Fengmian ignored him and killed the 3 from the desolate ancient sect on the spot. Luo Zhanhen shouted as he pointed at Chu Fengmian. Brat, do you know that you have made a grave mistake? You have gotten yourself into big trouble. The 3 of them are from the desolate ancient sect. If you kill them now, it will not only bring you trouble, but it will also bring trouble to the academy. Do you know that? Chu Fengmian glanced at Luo Zhanhen and said calmly. Trouble? If there is trouble, I will deal with it myself. You don't have to worry about it. Deal with it myself? A look of displeasure appeared on Luo Zhanhen's face. These are the disciples of the desolate ancient sect. They represent the 7 major sections. You have offended the academy and you have committed a grave sin. Yet, you are still unrepentant. Luo Zhanhen's tone sounded like a superior reprimanding his subordinate. Chu Fengmian frowned and his voice turned cold. Luo Zhanhen, I don't need you to tell me what to do. Chu Fengmian snorted coldly. No one could stop Chu Fengmian from killing anyone. It was ridiculous for Luo Zhanhen to bring up Beimang Academy to suppress Chu Fengmian. Not to mention the fact that no one could control Chu Fengmian, the disciples of the desolate ancient sect today deserved to die. Chu Fengmian had killed them with a clear conscience. You don't need me to interfere? Great! A mere freshman of Beimang Academy dares to be so arrogant. When we return to the academy, I will report your sins to the Hall of Penal Law. Let's see if you are truly lawless. Luo Zhanhen snorted and turned to leave. Trying to leave? Chu Fengmian snorted and waved his hand, blocking Luo Zhanhen's path. Who allowed you to leave? Luo Zhanhen reprimanded Chu Fengmian and wanted to leave. He even wanted to report today's incident to the Hall of Penal Law. How could Chu Fengmian let him leave? The Hall of Penal Law was the largest and most important hall in Beimang Academy. Those who entered the Hall of Penal Law would be skinned even if they were innocent. Luo Zhanhen had used the path of Chanhen to sneak up on Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian remembered everything. How could he leave so casually? Luo Zhanhen looked at Chu Fengmian blocking his path and shouted angrily. Chu Fengmian, what are you trying to do? I am a seed disciple of Beimang Academy. How dare you offend me? What am I trying to do? Luo Zhanhen, do you think I wouldn't notice you sneak up on me? Are you trying to escape now? Chu Fengmian looked at Luo Zhanhen and laughed. Luo Zhanhen, you probably don't know my methods. Those who dare to sneak up on me must die. You too. A seed disciple of Beimang Academy? I even dared to kill people from the 7 major sections. Who do you think you are? Go to hell. Chu Fengmian gathered his spiritual energy and transformed it into the battle dragon claw. He slashed down from the sky. Damn it. Kid, you are really lawless. How dare you kill your fellow disciples? You're a devil. Luo Zhanghen's expression changed when he saw Chu Fengmian's battle dragon claw. He didn't restrain his spiritual energy at all. He had seen Chu Fengmian's strength before. If he held back in front of Chu Fengmian, he wouldn't be able to show it again. Blade of everlasting hatred. Luo Zhanghen's endless hatred condensed into the blade of everlasting hatred in his hand. He suddenly slashed the blade towards the sky. Luo Zhanghen was delusional to think that the blade of everlasting hatred could resist the battle dragon claw. Ridiculous. Chu Fengmian said indifferently. The battle dragon claw fell mercilessly. Immediately, the power of the blade of everlasting hatred was crushed by the battle dragon claw. Chapter 535. Even Wang Ji from the desolate ancient sect could not block Chu Fengmian's war dragon claw. Luo Zhanhen was not even as strong as Wang Ji. How could he block it? The everlasting hatred saber formed by Luo Zhanhen's everlasting hatred path blocked the war dragon claw in an instant. It was destroyed on the spot like a mayfly trying to shake a tree. Damn it! How could this kid be so powerful? Luo Zhanhen was sweating from anxiety. He felt it after testing it out. The power of Chu Fengmian's war dragon claw was unshakable. It was extremely powerful. He could not compete with Chu Fengmian even if he used all his means. Now, Luo Zhanhen regretted for the first time. He regretted attacking Chu Fengmian out of jealousy. Now that his sneak attack had failed, he had brought trouble to himself. Hurry up and attack. Deal with this kid. He is already a demon who killed his fellow disciples. If we don't kill him today, we will all die here. Luo Zhanhen suddenly shouted. Hearing his words, the eyes of countless martialists present flickered. Chu Fengmian's aptitude was indeed too terrifying. With such aptitude, sooner or later, Chu Fengmian would step on everyone's head. He had such terrifying strength at Divine Power Realm Level 4. Even Luo Zhanhen, who was a seed disciple of the Beimang Academy, could not fight back against Chu Fengmian. They did not dare to think about how many fortuitous encounters Chu Fengmian had. However, the Dragon Clan martial technique was already an amazing fortuitous encounter. War Demon Supremacy was the first to rush up. He was good friends with Holy Sun Guigu. Now that Holy Sun Guigu had died in Chu Fengmian's hands, he would be the first to kill Chu Fengmian to avenge Holy Sun Guigu. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's aptitude made him feel fearful. If Chu Fengmian was allowed to develop further, the consequences would be unimaginable. That's right. Everyone should get rid of this demon. Brother Luo, let me help you. War Demon Supremacy looked at the crowd and shouted. All disciples of the Earth Demon Sect, kill him. Yes. Immediately, more than 10 venerables appeared from the crowd. They were all disciples of the Earth Demon Sect. The eyes of these Earth Demon Sect's disciples were filled with greed. After killing Chu Fengmian, any one of them could reach the sky in a single bound. Boom! 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 Countless Earth Demon Sect disciples attacked at the same time. Suddenly, the secret chamber was filled with a monstrous demonic aura. The demonic will swirled around Venerable War Demon. Suddenly, Venerable War Dragon transformed into a gigantic demonic god. This demon god had 3 heads and 6 arms. On each of its 6 arms, there were various weapons. Although these weapons were all condensed from demonic will, they were still extremely powerful. However, the sharpness of it was not the slightest bit inferior to that of many Earth-grade spirit artifacts. 100 Battle Demon God. This was the phantom of the 100 Battle Demon God. Your martial Dao is already strong enough to summon the 100 Battle Demon God. Luo Zhanhen glanced at the War Demon Supremacy and asked in shock. Good. With your brother War Demon's help, this brat will definitely die today. Die, brat. Endless everlasting hatred. Endless hatred. Luo Zhanhen was surrounded by an endless amount of hatred. It was so intense that one would be lost in it. Luo Zhanhen's eyes turned red. His everlasting hatred path was usually very clear-headed. However, the strongest technique of the everlasting hatred path was to use hatred to deceive oneself, allowing Luo Zhanhen to erupt with terrifying power. Chu Fengmian was now Luo Zhanhen's mortal enemy. The hatred from killing his father and stealing his wife could not be compared to the hatred in Luo Zhanhen's heart. In Luo Zhanhen's heart, he wanted to kill Chu Fengmian 1,000 times. Even 10,000 times would not be able to wash away his hatred. I want you dead. Heaven's hatred. Heaven's hatred blade. The everlasting hatred blade condensed in Luo Zhanhen's hand again. This time, the everlasting hatred blade was many times more terrifying than before. This was Luo Zhanhen's true Tao of enduring hatred. The blade light flashed, as if it was going to slay even the heavens. The 100 battles demon god that the war demon reverend had transformed into had also completely condensed. Its terrifying power and 6 arms bombarded Chu Fengmian at the same time. In terms of might, the bombardment of so much power wasn't much weaker than the power of the primordial Tao displayed by the primordial Tao. However, Chu Fengmian's face was as calm as ever in the face of such terrifying power. He was not afraid at all. You are just a few more ants that have come to die. I have never intended to let the people of the Earth Demon sect go. Chu Fengmian roared. Massacre path. Ancient massacre god. The ancient massacre god suddenly condensed behind Chu Fengmian's back. Boundless blood qi surrounded the blade of his sword. The blood qi surged and was 10,000 feet wide. It even filled the secret chamber completely. Boom! As Chu Fengmian's sword fell, the blood qi turned into a bloody scar and fell on the spot. The numerous forces and martial techniques were all shattered and devoured by the bloody scar. All these forces were meaningless in front of Chu Fengmian. Luo Zhanhen, I will kill you first. Then I will take care of these little demons. Chu Fengmian shouted coldly. Among everyone present, his greatest enemy was Luo Zhanhen. Chu Fengmian moved the spiritual power in his palm and crushed the space around Luo Zhanhen. He grabbed his body directly. The everlasting hatred path around Luo Zhanhen was shattered by this grab. Luo Zhanhen was held in Chu Fengmian's hand. The moment of life and death crisis woke Luo Zhanhen up instantly. Brother Kanglin. Brother Ku Xiu. Are you two still not going to make a move? If you don't make a move, we will not be able to deal with this person. Luo Zhanhen shouted. It was impossible to deal with Chu Fengmian alone. He, the war demon reverend, and a dozen disciples of the Earth Demon sect were no match for Chu Fengmian. Now, he could only rope in others to deal with Chu Fengmian together. Kanglin Ba and Ku Xiu Tian looked extremely serious. Chu Fengmian's strength was far beyond their imagination. The moment they saw Luo Zhanhen fall into Chu Fengmian's hand, a figure suddenly moved. This figure was Ku Xiu Tian. Suddenly, a gray fog came out of Ku Xiu Tian's body. Within the gray-colored fog, one could feel that everything within it was about to decay. Another one has come to die. Chapter 536. Another one has come to court death. Chu Fengmian looked at Ku Xiu Tian and said calmly. To Chu Fengmian, Ku Xiu Tian's action to save Luo Zhanhen was just another person courting death. This kid can't be left alive. Ku Xiu Tian knew how powerful and terrifying Chu Fengmian was. Luo Zhanhen, Battle Demon Venerable, and a dozen Earth Demon sect disciples were still no match for Chu Fengmian. If a high-level life and death realm expert could do this, it wouldn't be surprising. However, Chu Fengmian was just a 4th-level divine power realm expert. If Chu Fengmian could do this, Ku Xiu Tian could tell that Chu Fengmian was a monster. With every battle, Chu Fengmian's strength would grow stronger. It was especially so when the number of trump cards on Chu Fengmian's body seemed endless. If they didn't kill Chu Fengmian now, he would pose a threat to them sooner or later. No, he would trample them to death sooner or later. If we don't get rid of this monster, he will become a great threat. Ku Shou Tian's spiritual energy rose steadily, and the black fog around his body grew larger. Among the countless experts in the secret chamber, Ku Shou Tian had always been the most mysterious one. Unlike Luo Zhanhen, Battle Demon Venerable, and the others, Ku Shou Tian came from a secret force. No one knew his true strength, but they knew that he wasn't any weaker than Luo Zhanhen. Withering heaven and earth. The only outcome of this world is withering. Ku Shou Tian let out a long roar, and the gray fog around his body immediately swept toward Chu Fengmian. The gray fog made contact with any spiritual energy that came into contact with it. Layers of gray spiritual energy immediately surrounded Chu Fengmian, trapping him. Great! With Brother Ku Shou's help, this kid will die today. Luo Zhanhen was overjoyed when he saw Ku Shou Tian make his move. Everlasting Hatred Dao. My everlasting hatred Dao has reached greater completion. No one in this world can trap me. Luo Zhanhen let out a long roar. Suddenly, the everlasting hatred Dao burst out from his body and broke free from Chu Fengmian's palm. This hatred is endless. Luo Zhanhen broke free and swung his saber at Chu Fengmian. The war demon Venerable transformed into 100 battle demon god. Suddenly, his 6 arms moved at the same time and bombarded Chu Fengmian. Ku Shou Tian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, the gray fog around him started to gather and turned into a small dagger. He then stabbed it toward Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian laughed heartily. Facing the bombardment of countless martial skills, he let out a long whistle. No matter how many times you resist, it's meaningless. Today, none of you will leave here alive. Countless changes took place on Chu Fengmian's body in an instant. The power of the war dragon circled around him and his body suddenly turned into the appearance of an ancient war dragon. The countless martial skills landed on the ancient era's war dragon that Chu Fengmian had transformed into. At the moment when they were about to reach him, they immediately turned into countless dragon scales around Chu Fengmian. The dragon scales formed a huge ray. The countless dragon scales instantly neutralized the countless martial skills. There was no power that could approach Chu Fengmian or attack him. How dare you besiege me? Ku Shou Tian, you will also die today. Chu Fengmian's body moved and he suddenly rushed forward. He rushed into the crowd and transformed into an ancient war dragon. It was as though he would kill anyone who stood in his way. Die! Boom! The huge body of the war dragon suddenly collided with the crowd. The wanton spiritual energy in his body turned into a terrifying power and bombarded the crowd. Luo Zhanhen, War Demon Venerable, and Ku Shou Tian were forced to retreat in the face of the war dragon's power. However, the disciples of the Earth Demon sect were one step too slow. Bang! Countless sounds were heard. The bodies of the Earth Demon sect's disciples were completely shattered by this attack, and they all died on the spot. Chu Fengmian devoured all the blood qi in their bodies, causing Chu Fengmian's aura to become much stronger. This is not good. We can't let him drag this out any longer. His strength is improving every moment. Every one of us is killed by him and our power will be taken away by him. If this drags on, we won't be able to deal with him. Luo Zhanhen roared. Brother Kanglin, are you still not going to take action? Kill! Kanglin Ba spat out a word indifferently. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Suddenly, Kanglin Ba's martial arts were fully displayed. What he cultivated was the purest form of martial arts. In the blink of an eye, a terrifying punch had already blasted towards Chu Fengmian. Another one who is courting death. Luo Zhanhen, you have quite a number of helpers. Unfortunately, no matter how many people you have, your death is inevitable. Chu Fengmian looked at the Kanglin tyrant's punch with a calm expression. He activated the war dragon's body and waved his hand. It was as if the war dragon's claw had descended and completely blocked the punch. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's body rushed towards Luo Zhanhen. Chu Fengmian arrived in front of Luo Zhanhen in an instant. His speed was astonishing. Chu Fengmian did not feel any discomfort when he transformed into the ancient war dragon. Instead, he could feel that this form was the most suitable for him. Chu Fengmian could only unleash the full power of the war dragon technique in this form. War Dragon Grip. The huge war dragon's claws suddenly struck out towards Luo Zhanhen and clawed at him. Luo Zhanhen unleashed all his power and tried to escape. However, the space around him was completely sealed by the power of the claw. Bang! Luo Zhanhen was caught by Chu Fengmian before he could unleash his power. Damn it! Save Luo Zhanhen. War Demon Reverend and Ku Jiutian's faces changed drastically when they saw Luo Zhanhen being caught by Chu Fengmian. Waves of spiritual energy condensed into countless martial arts techniques and bombarded Chu Fengmian. Trying to save him? Chu Fengmian sneered. A terrifying power shrouded Luo Zhanhen's hand. This time, Chu Fengmian did not give Luo Zhanhen any chance to escape. He tightened his grip and crushed Luo Zhanhen on the spot. Blood splattered everywhere. Countless saints' blood essences flowed into Chu Fengmian's hand and were absorbed by him. Chapter 537. With a single claw, Luo Zhanhen was crushed to death by Chu Fengmian. Luo Zhanhen was crushed to death by Chu Fengmian. Countless people's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Luo Zhanhen was considered a somewhat famous genius expert in the North region. The seed disciples of the North Sea Academy had extremely high status in the academy. Moreover, they cultivated the Tao of everlasting hatred, which made them famous. Such an expert was actually crushed to death by someone. This was something that they could not believe no matter what. What level has this person's strength reached? Even Luo Zhanhen was crushed to death without any chance to retaliate. Even a 4th or 5th level life and death expert might not be able to do this. Kanglinba couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air as he watched this scene. His whole body was incomparably cold. None of the seed disciples of the North Sea Academy were ordinary. None of them could become a seed disciple of the academy. They were all geniuses among geniuses, famous geniuses in the North region. In terms of strength alone, Luo Zhanhen's strength wasn't inferior to many 2nd or 3rd level life and death experts. But now, Luo Zhanhen had died in Chu Fengmian's hands. How terrifying was Chu Fengmian's strength! Moreover, Chu Fengmian was only at the 4th level of the divine power realm. There was still a lot of room for improvement in the future. If Chu Fengmian was allowed to grow again, how astonishing would he be? Chu Fengmian had already obtained countless benefits from Dragon Emperor Yan's cave. If Chu Fengmian left today, it would be akin to nurturing a tiger and inviting calamity. We can't let this kid leave alive today. Kunyo Tian, Battle Demon Venerable, use all your strength. We must kill this person at all costs. Kanglinba shouted. He looked at Chu Fengmian with deep fear in his eyes. If such a genius really rose in the North region, it would definitely be their nightmare. Moreover, they were enemies with Chu Fengmian today. No matter what, Chu Fengmian wouldn't let them go. Martial Tao Limit. Martial Will of Heaven. Kanglinba roared, condensing his spiritual power to the extreme. Beside him, countless treasures, spirit pills, wondrous items, and spirit stones were directly collected by his body. These things were all devoured by the deep water tyrant in an instant, causing his strength to increase by 10 times. The surges of power did not raise the level of the Kanglin tyrant. Instead, they were all integrated into his martial path. As a result, the Kanglin hegemon's martial path had reached an inconceivable level. Martial God descends. Boom! A ray of light landed on Kanglinba's back. The silhouette of a person could be vaguely seen in the light. This figure was the legendary martial god, the person who had once reached the pinnacle of martial arts. Now, the Kanglin tyrant was going all out to summon the legendary martial god Shadow. This wasn't a secret technique. It was because his martial path had reached the limit, allowing the illusionary figure of the martial god to appear on its own. Compared to the one condensed by the secret technique, it was countless times more powerful. It was very similar to the ancient killing god phantom condensed by Chu Fengmian. Martial Path Divine Fist. Kanglin Hegemon suddenly roared and punched at Chu Fengmian. This punch contained the essence of martial arts and was incomparably mysterious. Although it seemed simple, it was impossible to dodge. The Kanglin tyrant is going all out. Let's attack too. Ku Xiu Tian and the war demon Reverend looked at each other. They disregarded everything and unleashed all their trump cards. Today, Luo Zhanan had died at the hands of Chu Fengmian. If they didn't go all out, they would be defeated one by Chu Fengmian. Countless strong spiritual energies burst out wildly and suddenly formed a huge axe in front of Ku Xiu Tian. This huge axe contained the power of the Kanglin Hegemon. It was as if everything that came into contact with this huge axe would decay. Kanglin Hegemon Axe. Kanglin Hegemon. The huge axe suddenly rushed towards Chu Fengmian and chopped down violently. Kid, decay. In front of this Kanglin Hegemon axe, even heaven and earth will decay. Heaven and earth will eventually perish. How can a little creature like you struggle when it decays? Ku Xiu Tian sneered. He activated the Kanglin Hegemon axe and chopped down. His axe wasn't aimed at Chu Fengmian's body, but at his lifespan. His Kanglin Hegemon axe was strong enough to decay everything in the world. No matter how powerful a martial artist was, there would be a day when they would grow old, fall, and decay. His axe was aimed at Chu Fengmian's lifespan. The axe chopped out in an incomparably strange manner. Many people simply did not know how to block it. Kanglin Hegemon axe? The path of decay is not bad. Unfortunately, heaven and earth will decay, but I won't. I will live forever and never be defeated. Heaven and earth may perish, but I will live forever. Your Tao of decay is nothing but a joke in front of me. Chu Fengmian looked at the Kanglin Hegemon axe and waved his hand, blocking the Kanglin Hegemon axe with his bare hands. Chu Fengmian's hand held the Kanglin Hegemon axe and blocked all the power of the Kanglin Hegemon axe. Blocking it with your bare hands. You're courting death. The path of decay. Let him decay and perish. I will deprive you of your lifespan. Ku Xiu Tian laughed when he saw Chu Fengmian's actions. He immediately activated the path of decay to its maximum. The Kanglin Hegemon axe suddenly dispersed with a bang and turned into a gray fog that surrounded Chu Fengmian. The gray fog was the chi of decay in heaven and earth. It was said that heaven and earth were eternal, but they also had lifespan. They could also be destroyed and reborn. It was the chi of decay that was causing trouble. The chi of decay was strong enough to decay everything that came into contact with it. A martial artist who came into contact with it would instantly lose countless years of their lifespan. However, Chu Fengmian stood where he was and allowed the decaying aura to revolve around him. Chu Fengmian's lips curled into a disdainful expression. Heaven and earth will decay, but I won't. I am the master of creation. Creation is eternal. I will also exist forever. An extremely strange power suddenly condensed on Chu Fengmian's body. It was the power of creation that came from the sword embryo in his body. The power of creation was the most powerful force in heaven and earth. Although the Kanglin Hegemon axe was powerful, the power of creation was eternal. The Kanglin Hegemon axe was useless in front of the power of creation. Devour everything. Chu Fengmian opened his mouth and swallowed all of the decaying qi into his mouth. The terrifying qi of decay was directly devoured by Chu Fengmian. Not only did Chu Fengmian's body not decay, but the aura on his body also became stronger. Chapter 538. Decaying qi was the most domineering energy in the world. Everything in the world could not escape from decaying. Even the world and heavens would decay and wither one day. But now, the decaying qi was being devoured by Chu Fengmian and was even being refined. Not only did it not affect Chu Fengmian's body, but it also turned into pure energy that helped Chu Fengmian condense the ancient battle dragon blood essence. Boom! 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 Boundless spiritual energy surged from Chu Fengmian's body. His cultivation realm had broken through again after devouring the decaying qi. He reached the 5th level of the divine power realm in a single leap. In the deepest part of his body, the ancient battle dragon shadow had condensed a total of 7,500 drops of ancient battle dragon blood essence. Great! Killing such a genius is indeed the best way to break through. Chu Fengmian was incomparably happy. Chu Fengmian came to Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave mansion and killed Prince Bai Gu, Saint Sun Gui Gu, the 5 people of desolate ancient sect, and now Luo Zhanin. With the power of the 8 people and the decaying chi from Kunyo Tian, Chu Fengmian's strength had finally broken through again. What Chu Fengmian lacked now was his cultivation realm. His countless martial skills, spiritual weapons, and bloodline were all top-notch. Once his cultivation realm broke through, his strength would increase tremendously. Chu Fengmian only needed to break through again. Even if he faced a high-level life and death realm martial artist, Chu Fengmian still had the power to fight. Kunyo Tian watched Chu Fengmian devour the decaying qi. Not only was Chu Fengmian unaffected, but his aura was also rising steadily and he had broken through again. Kunyo Tian's expression could be described as sluggish. His eyes were about to fall out. His qi of decay had been condensed after he had cultivated the Tao of decay for several decades. Just that wisp of decaying aura was already half of his strength. Even a high-level life and death realm expert might not be able to resist it. Not to mention devouring it, even resisting it would be extremely difficult. Even powerful martial artists would be wary of the power of the Tao of decay. But now, Chu Fengmian directly devoured the decaying gas and converted the spiritual power within it into his own power. This is no longer human. It was a devil. No, even a devil wouldn't be able to do that. Withering and decaying is something that even the heavens and earth can't escape from. How could he escape? Ku Xiu Tian couldn't figure out how Chu Fengmian had done all this. This was the first time someone had broken through his Tao of withering and decay. His invincible Tao of withering and decay was now being devoured by someone else. The stimulation caused him to sink into madness. Kunyo Tian, stop daydreaming. Make your move while this kid's cultivation is still unstable and weak. Once we kill him, we'll be able to claim all his fortunate encounters. The War Demon Knight roared and activated the power of the 100 Battle Demon God. The 6 weapons in his 6 arms. Saber, spear, sword, halberd, axe, spear. The 6 weapons were filled with sharp spiritual energy as they attacked at the same time. Chu Fengmian's breakthrough gave the War Demon Venerable an opportunity. He seized the opportunity to attack. A martial artist was at his weakest when he had just broken through. This was because once he had just broken through, his spiritual energy would be used to break through. When his spiritual energy was depleted, he would be at his weakest. This was the easiest time to defeat him. Chu Fengmian, you're too greedy. You broke through in front of us. You've given us a chance. Today, you'll die because of your greed. Fall. A person like you shouldn't exist in the North region. Kanglinba also let out a roar. Suddenly, he condensed his spiritual energy into a fist and punched out. 7 forms of the war god. Boom. 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 Kanglinba punched out 7 times in a row. The power of each punch was as dazzling as the sun. The power contained in each punch was enough to tear apart countless martial artists present. The illusionary figure of the divine god of battle behind the Kanglin tyrant followed his movements and threw out 7 punches. A total of 14 dazzling suns appeared in the sky. Following Kanglinba's command, the power of countless punches blasted toward Chu Fengmian. Each sun represented the power of 1 Kanglinba. A total of 14 suns represented 14 times the power of Kanglinba's punch. With such power, it was easy to kill martial artists of the same realm. After seeing Chu Fengmian break through, War Demon Venerable and Kanglinba didn't hold back. They used all their trump cards to kill Chu Fengmian. They were planning to take advantage of Chu Fengmian's weakened state after his breakthrough to kill him. Weak? Do you think you have a chance because I've broken through? Unfortunately, My breakthrough only means that you won't have any more chances. Chu Fengmian was extremely relaxed in the face of the countless martial techniques. All of you, break! He waved his hand and a burst of spiritual energy was released. This burst of spiritual energy turned into a long rainbow. A beam of spiritual energy swept across the sky, and the 14 suns all shattered before this beam of spiritual energy and died on the spot. It was Kanglin Ba's martial path that was broken. His martial path was completely shattered by this burst of spiritual energy. His entire body was sent flying. With a pu sound, he spat out a large amount of blood. How can he have such terrifying power? Didn't he just break through? Why isn't he weak at all? Instead, his power is even more terrifying. War Demon Venerable saw that Kanglin Ba was defeated and his martial path was shattered. His mind was about to collapse. He thought that Chu Fengmian's breakthrough gave them a chance. They could join forces and burst out their power to kill Chu Fengmian. But now, Chu Fengmian's power wasn't weak at all. This terrifying and irresistible power was countless times stronger than before. Weak? Chu Fengmian sneered. War Demon Venerable would never have thought that Chu Fengmian had a divine pulse. Ordinary martial artists would fall into a period of weakness after breaking through. It would take at least a few days for them to recover completely. Therefore, the moment of breakthrough was the most dangerous moment. But Chu Fengmian was different. Chu Fengmian had a divine pulse. The spiritual energy he consumed during the breakthrough was instantly replenished by the divine pulse. It could be said that Chu Fengmian didn't have the concept of a weak period. Once he broke through, he would be in the most perfect state in the next moment. The two of them planned to use Chu Fengmian's weakness after breaking through to deal with him. This was the most foolish action. Chapter 539. Chu Fengmian stared at the Battle Demon Venerate as though he was looking at a dead man. Battle Demon Venerable, you killed Luo Zhanin. Next, it's the turn of the demons from the Earth Demon sect. There's no need for the evil creatures left in Nine Demons City to live. Chu Fengmian shouted coldly and pressed down with his palm. There was nothing fancy about this palm. It was just Chu Fengmian's condensed spiritual power. Crack! The weapons held by the 6 arms of the Warring Demon God transformed from the Warring Demon Venerable were instantly shattered by the spiritual power of this palm. One after another, the weapons were broken. That was not the end of it. Next, the 100 Battle Demon God's arms and body were crushed by the force of the attack. The Battle Demon Venerable felt the irresistible power and roared loudly. He had already squeezed out all the potential and strength in his body to the extreme in order to resist Chu Fengmian's power. However, the power of Chu Fengmian's palm was so great that even the Battle Demon Venerable could not resist it. He was like an ant. Even if he used all his strength, he could not compete with an elephant. Boom! The 100 Battle Demonic God was smashed into smithereens by this single palm strike. Countless spiritual energies were shattered, and the War Demon Supremacy's figure was sent flying out of it. Countless cracks had appeared on his chest. It was obvious that he was seriously injured. Don't kill me. Spare me. I'm just an ant. I'm willing to submit to you. Please spare my life. The Battle Demon Venerable knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Under Chu Fengmian's power, his mind collapsed. He no longer had the courage to resist and knelt on the ground to beg for mercy. Submit to me? You little devils from the Earth Demon sect aren't worthy. Chu Fengmian glanced at the Battle Demon Venerable and pressed down with his palm. The Battle Demon Venerable's body suddenly began to swell. Like an inflated rubber ball, it was about to burst at any moment. No! I'm the Battle Demon Venerable. I've had countless adventures and have a high status in the Earth Demon sect. I'm a famous genius in the northern region with a bright future. I don't want to die. No! Ah! Ah! The Battle Demon Venerable roared crazily. Finally, he screamed. Under Chu Fengmian's merciless palm, his body was completely shattered and exploded. Chu Fengmian had taken away all of the battle demon venerable's blood, fortune, and wealth in an instant. All the spiritual power was devoured by Chu Fengmian's body. Chu Fengmian condensed the ancient battle dragon blood essence to increase his strength. Run! Kanglin Ba and Ku Xiu Tian lost all will to fight when they saw Chu Fengmian slap the battle demon supremacy to death. Their hearts were filled with fear. They couldn't wait to run away and get as far away from Chu Fengmian as possible. This person is no longer human, he's simply a monster. Even Yi Tianjun, who was called a monster in the Northern Sea Academy, wasn't this terrifying. Let's escape and spread the news. I'm sure countless factions will come to eliminate him. They Sun Tian and their spiritual consciousness as. They had made up their minds to spread the news about Chu Fengmian after they escaped. The North Mang Academy had many enemies in the northern region. There would definitely be countless experts who would come to kill Chu Fengmian and prevent him from growing. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had killed 5 disciples of the ancient Baron sect. Once they spread the news, the ancient Baron sect would send countless experts to deal with Chu Fengmian. They had thought of a plan to deal with Chu Fengmian. You want to escape now? It's too late. You two trash want to deal with me and spread the news about me? Ridiculous. Chu Fengmian snorted. He waved his hand and the surrounding space was sealed. At the same time, his 2 arms reached out to grab Ku Xiu Tian and Kanglin Ba. Traceless phantom. Kanglin Ba's body flashed and disappeared. He had actually opened up a void tunnel from Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave abode and escaped in an instant. Oh no! We can't let him spread the news. Otherwise, he'll be killed. Let's go! Bai Xian shouted when she saw Kanglin Ba escape. Her figure moved, and she wanted to chase after him. Don't worry, he can't escape. Thousand Dragon Soul chasing hand. Go after him. Chu Fengmian snorted. A wave of spiritual energy condensed in front of him and turned into a dragon claw. It rushed into the void. Kanglin Ba was overjoyed when he escaped into the void. When he thought about how Chu Fengmian would be hunted down by countless experts as long as he leaked the news, his heart was filled with excitement. But his excitement didn't last long. Kanglin Ba's body suddenly stopped in the void. A huge dragon claw grabbed him. It pulled him back from the void. What kind of martial technique is this? I've already escaped into the void, but I was caught and brought back. Kanglin Ba couldn't believe it when he saw Chu Fengmian's familiar face. He had taken advantage of Chu Fengmian's carelessness to escape into the void. He should have completely escaped into the heavens. But now, he was caught by Chu Fengmian again. All his tricks were like child's play in front of Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian looked at Kanglin Ba and snorted. I said that none of you will live today. Die, all of you. No. I'm from the Kanglin family. If you dare to kill me, the Kanglin family won't let you and me off. Kanglin Ba was about to die, but he still wanted to threaten Chu Fengmian. You talk too much. Die. Chu Fengmian didn't wait for Kanglin Ba to finish. He waved his hand and a wave of spiritual energy pressed down on Kanglin Ba's body. The Kanglin hegemon's body also exploded under a burst of spiritual energy, and the blood and qi within were all devoured by Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian even dared to kill people from the desolate ancient sect. Kanglin Ba was nothing to him. And you, Kunyo Tian, you must die too. After killing Kanglin Ba, Chu Fengmian looked at Kunyo Tian. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and Kunyo Tian's body exploded like Kanglin Ba. Luo Zhanhen, Kunyo Tian, Kanglin Ba, and War Demon Honorable were all killed by Chu Fengmian. Chapter 540. The blood qi of Kugu Tian, Kanglin Ba, and War Demon Reverend were all devoured by Chu Fengmian. The 3 of them did not only possess the blood qi, but also the countless treasures they had obtained from the ancient Yan Dragon Emperor cave. Although they had devoured these treasures, they did not have the time to refine them completely. Now, the spiritual energy in them was all given to Chu Fengmian. Refine them all. Chu Fengmian activated the power of Battle Dragon skill, refining the spiritual energy in them and condensing it into ancient Battle Dragon blood essence. The Battle Dragon skill that Chu Fengmian cultivated was a glutton, but with enough spiritual energy, he could quickly break through before he reached a bottleneck. Now that Chu Fengmian had devoured and refined the blood chi of the three of them, Chu Fengmian's strength immediately improved. However, it was still far from enough for Chu Fengmian to improve his realm further. If I want to improve my realm further, I have to devour at least 10 more martial artists like Luo Zhanhen. Chu Fengmian sighed in his heart. Without enough fortuitous encounters, it would be extremely difficult for him to cultivate the Battle Dragon skill. It's extremely difficult to break through my realm, but there's another item that can improve my strength. Chu Fengmian scanned his surroundings before his gaze landed on the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian moved and flew towards the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. What is he doing? Is he going to take the heaven-grade spiritual weapon? Some of the martial artists in the North region were shocked by Chu Fengmian's continuous display of power. Seeing what Chu Fengmian was going to do next, they stepped back and did not dare to step forward. The restriction on the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was far stronger than the restriction on all the treasures in the secret chamber. Once touched, there was a high chance that one would suffer a backlash. Chu Fengmian moved and instantly came before the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. Without hesitation, he activated the power of Battle Dragon skill to the extreme. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian's right arm turned into a dragon claw and grabbed at the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. Take it! I am a battle dragon. This Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword is compatible with my bloodline. Chu Fengmian let out a long roar and unleashed the Battle Dragon aura on his body to the extreme. The restrictions on the Ancestral Dragon Paragon Sword gradually dissipated after sensing the aura of the War Dragon, allowing Chu Fengmian to grab the Ancestral Dragon Paragon Sword. Alright. It was only when Chu Fengmian held the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword in his hand that he could truly feel how powerful the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was. The power of a heaven-class spiritual weapon was dozens of times stronger than a supreme-grade earth-class spiritual weapon. Moreover, the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was the ultimate treasure of the Dragon Clan. Even among the heaven-grade spiritual artifacts, they were considered to be of the highest quality. As he held the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword in his hand, Chu Fengmian could feel that the power of the ancient War Dragon bloodline in his body had been completely stimulated. As the two forces intertwined, the aura of Chu Fengmian's body expanded continuously. Great, the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword is indeed the ultimate treasure of the Dragon Clan. The power on it is completely compatible with my bloodline. An ordinary martial artist who obtains the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword can only unleash 1/10 of its power. However, I possess the Battle Dragon bloodline and I can unleash all of its power. Chu Fengmian was overjoyed. The Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was definitely the most suitable spiritual weapon for Chu Fengmian. Oh no! This person has obtained the heaven-class spiritual weapon. What a powerful force! Heaven-class spiritual weapon. If I can obtain it, it will be enough to increase my strength by more than 1 level. Some of the North region martial artists looked at the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword in Chu Fengmian's hand with jealousy in their eyes. Kill! We must obtain the heaven-class spiritual weapon. Kill him! Yes! As long as we can kill him and obtain the heaven-class spiritual weapon, we will be invincible when we get out. I don't believe that this person is really invincible. With so many of us, we will definitely be able to kill him. Just as Chu Fengmian broke the restriction and obtained the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword, countless spiritual energies began to gather outside the sword. The 100 North region martial artists at the scene attacked almost simultaneously. In an instant, hundreds of martial techniques were launched in the air and all of them were directed at Chu Fengmian. In an instant, the countless spiritual forces had merged into one and turned into a vast ray of light that rushed toward Chu Fengmian directly. The ray of light contained the martial techniques of 100 peak saints. Oh no! Chu Fengmian looked slightly nervous. The strength of the vast ray of light was much stronger than when Luo Zhanhen and the other three joined forces. Although the strength of each of these martial artists was not as strong as Luo Zhanhen and the others, there were many of them. Many ants could kill an elephant. In front of the treasure, these people had already disregarded everything. They wanted to kill Chu Fengmian even if they had to join forces to obtain the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. The power that erupted was not to be underestimated. Courting death. The murderous intent in Chu Fengmian's eyes was extremely strong. These people wanted to take advantage of the chaos to rob. If Chu Fengmian had not intervened previously, they would not have been able to obtain any treasure. Now, they had come to deal with Chu Fengmian. It seems that all of you are going to die. Chu Fengmian roared and made a prompt decision. The spiritual forces in his body had already erupted to the extreme. These people's actions had completely infuriated Chu Fengmian. Boom! Surging spiritual forces suddenly erupted from Chu Fengmian's body and a huge force swept across the entire secret chamber. Don't be afraid. No matter how strong this person is, can he withstand the combined strength of so many of us? A North Region martial artist raised his head and looked at Chu Fengmian and shouted loudly. Boy, hand over all the treasures that you have obtained from the secret chamber and we can let you leave unharmed. Otherwise, with so many of us joining forces today, it is impossible for you to leave alive. That's right, Chu Fengmian. You are too greedy. Another North Region martial artist stood out and said coldly to Chu Fengmian. The treasures in the ancient Yen Dragon Emperor cave abode are not for you alone. Hand over the treasures. Hand over the treasures? Greedy? When Chu Fengmian heard these words, the murderous intent in his heart had already reached its peak. These treasures were obtained by each of us. If it wasn't for me, who else could have entered this secret chamber? Now you want to bite back and force me to hand over the treasures? I can kill Luo Zhanhen and the other desolate ancient sect disciples. Do you think that the combined strength of ants like you is enough to defeat me? I didn't update yesterday. I will update everything today. Don't worry. There was no reason why I didn't update yesterday. Originally, Xiao Yu had returned home at around 8 o'clock in the evening and felt very sleepy. She wanted to sleep for a while before writing. However, she didn't expect to sleep until this morning. Therefore, she didn't even explain and let everyone wait in vain. I'm sorry. I would like to apologize to everyone here. Up until now, this book had only not been updated yesterday. Even when she went out for a vacation, she tried her best to update it. Yesterday, I didn't update 4 times. Next, I will update 8 times. I won't be able to finish it in one day. I will update as much as possible in the next few days. Chapter 541. Chu Fengmian's heart was filled with murderous intent. If it wasn't for him, the treasures would have been taken away by the sect of the barren ancient sect. These people were still greedy and wanted to join forces to threaten Chu Fengmian. If Chu Fengmian were to be threatened, he wouldn't be Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian waved his hand and the ancient god of slaughter appeared behind him. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's murderous intent appeared. Damn it, this guy wants to take all the treasures for himself. No, after we leave the ancient Yen Dragon Emperor Cave Mansion, we must leak the news of him killing the sect of the barren ancient sect and let them find trouble with him. In the crowd, many of the northern region martial artists shouted crazily. They were already plotting how to deal with Chu Fengmian. Yes, let's spread the news to the Earth Demon sect, North Sea Academy and Kanglan family. Let all the forces in the northern region deal with this guy. Some of the martial artists shouted crazily. Chu Fengmian's rise had made them jealous. They couldn't wait to get all the forces to besiege and kill Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian's face was extremely gloomy. These words had violated the taboo in Chu Fengmian's heart. If they were to really leave and spread the news, it would indeed bring endless trouble to Chu Fengmian. Courting death. You still want to leave? Today, none of you will leave here alive. Chu Fengmian said word by word. Every word was filled with murderous intent. He wasn't threatening them. Chu Fengmian was never one to make empty threats. Since he said it, he would naturally do it. Bam! As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Fengmian's body moved. All the power of the ancient war dragon's blood essence in his body condensed into a single point. Chu Fengmian threw out a palm in the air. Countless dragon power condensed in the air and turned into a huge war dragon claw that slammed down. Don't be afraid. There are so many of us. I don't believe that he can deal with all of us alone. A northern region martial artist shouted loudly. Everyone, gather your spiritual energy and set up an array to deal with this guy. All right. The cultivators at the scene immediately unleashed their spiritual force, forming a huge formation in the air. It was trying to resist Chu Fengmian's battle dragon claw. A bunch of ants want to fight against a true dragon? Chu Fengmian let out a long howl, no longer caring about anything else. The power of the war dragon spell, the power of the ancient god of massacre, and the power of creation contained in the sword embryo in his body were all condensed together. Boom! 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 It could be said that Chu Fengmian's spiritual energy was fully displayed in an instant. There was no limit to this spiritual power. It poured into Chu Fengmian's body like a flood. The battle dragon claw condensed by Chu Fengmian completely changed its appearance under this wave of spiritual energy. On the dragon scales of the battle dragon claw, there were strange patterns engraved on each scale. These strange patterns vaguely contained the power of creation. When the claw landed, it was enough to mobilize the power of the world. The power of the world was extremely strong. The power of creation was the essence of the world. The battle dragon claw fell from the sky, tearing the surrounding space apart, especially in Dragon Emperor Yan's cave dwelling. The power of the forbidding aura that Dragon Monarch Yan had left behind was redirected by the power of the battle dragon bloodline, allowing him to use it. Destroy! The huge battle dragon claw fell from the sky. The formation formed by the cultivators of the North region started to break under the attack of the claw. It was unknown just how many of the seals within were broken, and the entire formation was starting to break apart. How is this possible? There are so many of us, but we are still no match for him. The cultivators of the North region were extremely shocked. They were no match for Chu Fengmian even if they joined forces. This great formation was actually about to be broken. Crack! There was a crisp sound. The formation was full of cracks and finally broke through one of the critical points. The entire formation collapsed in an instant. Countless warriors were sent flying by the impact. Run! Let's spread the news. Yes, we must not let him off. Countless rays of light flew around, trying to break out of the secret chamber and escape. They wanted to spread the news and get more people to deal with Chu Fengmian. They could not get the heaven-grade spiritual weapon today, and they did not want Chu Fengmian to get it. Do you think any of you can escape today? Chu Fengmian held the ancestral dragon's supreme sword and sneered. The sword intent on his body suddenly burst out. The sword intent was like a huge river behind him. Chu Fengmian stood in the middle of the sword intent. The ancestral dragon's supreme sword has not seen blood for 10,000 years. Today, I will use your blood to awaken its power. Chu Fengmian laughed loudly. World Transformation Sword. Chu Fengmian's sword moved as he spoke. The moment his sword was about to fall, the surrounding space was filled with endless sword chi. The entire secret chamber was filled with endless sword chi. 10,000 sword chi, 100,000 sword chi, 1,000,000 sword chi. No one could count how many sword chi there were in the secret chamber. The sword chi carried terrifying dragon power and turned into the appearance of ancient battle dragons. Opening its bloody mouth, it was unknown how many martial artists it had swallowed in an instant. Almost instantly, the countless northern region martial artists in the secret chamber exploded and were devoured by the sword chi. All the blood chi and spiritual energy were absorbed by Chu Fengmian and turned into his strength. Great! Another 1,000 drops of ancient battle dragon's blood essence. My strength has improved again. Chu Fengmian was overjoyed. Each of these cultivators had many treasures from Dragon Emperor Yan's cave abode. These treasures were all devoured by Chu Fengmian and turned into the purest spiritual energy in Chu Fengmian's body. At this moment, Chu Fengmian's strength skyrocketed again. Although he had not broken through, he had reached the peak of divine power realm. Bang! At this moment, a loud sound suddenly rang out. At the end of the secret chamber, a figure suddenly appeared. The moment the figure appeared, Chu Fengmian and Bai Xian's faces changed completely. Undying Demon Venerable? Bai Xian looked at the figure and was shocked. Chapter 542. Just as Chu Fengmian obtained the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword and killed everyone, Undying Demon Venerable's figure suddenly appeared in the secret chamber. What a powerful aura! This Undying Demon Venerable's strength far surpasses mine. Even if I made a breakthrough, I'm still far from being his match. High-level life and death experts are indeed not on the same level. Chu Fengmian sized up Undying Demon Venerable. He was also intimidated by the latter's strength. Although Chu Fengmian had seen Undying Demon Venerable once before, they were still very far apart at that time. Right now, Chu Fengmian and Undying Demon Venerable were only 10 kilometers apart in this secret chamber. To martial artists like them, 10 kilometers was a matter of a breath's time. It was extremely close. The spiritual energy of a heaven-grade spiritual tool. There's a heaven-grade spiritual tool in this secret chamber. The moment Undying Demon Venerable appeared, his face lit up with joy. This should be one of Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's treasures. The heaven-grade spiritual tool has already been taken. Undying Demon Venerable's eyes sized up the surroundings. Suddenly, he looked at the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword in Chu Fengmian's hand. This is the heaven-grade spiritual tool, ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword? Undying Demon Venerable's eyes revealed some shock. The ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was a famous treasure of the ancient Dragon clan. Back then, the owner of the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was Dragon Emperor Yan Gu. After Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's death, the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword disappeared without a trace. It was rumored that the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword disappeared together with Dragon Emperor Yan Gu. Now, Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave had appeared. When Undying Demon Venerable saw the heaven-grade spiritual tool in Chu Fengmian's hand, he immediately recognized it. The sword in Chu Fengmian's hand was the supreme treasure of the ancient Dragon clan, the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. "Kid, give me the sword." Undying Demon Venerable looked at Chu Fengmian and immediately made his move. His figure was incomparably huge, dozens of meters tall. His huge arm moved, and his palm suddenly grabbed at Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian felt the space around him being sealed. This space squeezed Chu Fengmian, wanting to grab him. That grab was merely a casual grab, yet Chu Fengmian could sense that he was currently in an extremely dangerous situation. If the Undying Demon Venerable really wanted to kill Chu Fengmian, he wouldn't need to spend much effort. Chu Fengmian would die without a doubt. Even if Chu Fengmian used all his means, he still wouldn't be a match for the Undying Demon Venerable. "I didn't expect to meet this old devil." Chu Fengmian cursed inwardly. The person Chu Fengmian was most worried about meeting in Dragon Emperor Yan's cave abode was the Undying Demon Ancestor. If a 5th-level life and death expert came, Chu Fengmian might be able to put up a fight, or even find an opportunity to kill him. However, once he met a 6th-level life and death realm expert, his strength would be on a completely different level from ordinary life and death realm experts. At the very least, Chu Fengmian would have a hard time contending with the Undying Demon Venerable, let alone defeating him. Even escaping from him would not be easy. "Go!" Facing the grab, Chu Fengmian's figure suddenly moved, turning into a streak of light. Phantom body art was pushed to the extreme. Now that Chu Fengmian had obtained the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword, he absolutely couldn't let it fall into the hands of the Undying Demon Venerable. His figure suddenly turned into countless streaks of light. Streaks of shadows turned into streaks of light to confuse the Undying Demon Venerable. As for Chu Fengmian's main body, he directly flew towards the depths of Dragon Emperor Yan's cave abode. If he flew out now, he would most likely be chased by the undying demon Venerable. Only by entering the depths of the cave abode would he have a chance of survival. Want to escape? A divine force realm ant wants to escape from this old man's hands? Overflowing demonic intent, demonic world descends. The undying demon Venerable looked at Chu Fengmian's streaks of light and snorted coldly. Endless demonic will gushed out from his body. The demonic will turned into countless barriers, filling the entire secret chamber with demonic will. The demonic intents within it turned into walls made of white bones, sealing off Chu Fengmian's movements. The undying demon Venerable's strength had reached the high level of life and death realm. He was a big shot in Earth Demon sect, a famous expert even in the North region. His means were extremely powerful. A single move was enough to change the surrounding space. This move destroyed all the chances of survival in front of Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian felt a chill in his heart. This was the closest he had ever been to death. What should we do? Bai Xian's face was extremely pale. She didn't expect the undying demon Venerable to appear here and hunt them down. Of course we have to escape. Chu Fengmian's face was extremely calm. The panic in his heart was forcibly suppressed. The more dangerous the situation was, the more Chu Fengmian couldn't panic. Once he panicked, he would lose his footing. I'll break the seal in a while. You run outside. This old fiend wants the ancestral dragon supreme sword. He won't chase you. Chu Fengmian looked at Bai Xian and said, Let's go. Rumble. The spiritual power in Chu Fengmian's body burned crazily. The power of the ancient battle dragon bloodline in his body was pushed to the extreme. His body immediately turned into a gigantic primordial war dragon. Battle dragon sword dance. The ancestral dragon supreme sword in his hand suddenly appeared in the ancient battle dragon's hand. The true ancestral dragon sword art was the supreme sword art created by Dragon Emperor Yan Gu. Roar! Countless dragon roars resounded in the surrounding space. Chu Fengmian glanced over and saw that there were many true dragon ancestor spirits. These true dragons had followed Dragon Emperor Yan Gu and perished in this cave abode. They had been resting peacefully in Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave abode. Now that they felt the battle dragon power in Chu Fengmian, these true dragon ancestor spirits woke up one after another. They roared as if they were responding to Chu Fengmian. The response caused Chu Fengmian's aura to rise steadily. Good. There are still true dragon ancestor spirits left in this Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave. Although these true dragon ancestor spirits don't have even 1% of their strength when they were alive, they're still incomparably powerful. They're not below the 3rd or 4th level of life and death realm. Seeing these true dragon ancestor spirits, Chu Fengmian was overjoyed. These true dragon ancestor spirits were the best way for Chu Fengmian to break the seal of the undying demon ancestor. True dragon ancestors. I'm in danger. I need your help to deal with this old fiend. Chu Fengmian shouted loudly. He was speaking in the ancient dragon language. In addition to his aura, he was no different from a weak dragon that was being hunted down. Chapter 543. Trying to use the power of the true dragon ancestral spirits to fight against me? You have the dragon clan's bloodline. You killed Bai Gu? Seeing Chu Fengmian's action, the undying demon Reverend's face was filled with killing intent. The demonic will in his body also rose crazily. This was the real power of the undying demon Reverend. His disciple, Prince Bai Gu, was killed by this dragon clan's martial technique. Now that he saw Chu Fengmian, he immediately recognized that Chu Fengmian was the one who killed Prince Bai Gu. Damn brat, you did it. Well, since I've met you today, I'll use your blood essence to pay tribute to my disciple. The undying demon Reverend shouted angrily. The demonic will in his body began to merge with his body. His cultivation realm had reached the level where he could transform into a demon. In his anger, he suddenly turned into a huge demonic creature. It was as if a demon god was enraged. The surrounding space began to tremble. "Brat, how dare you kill my disciple? Today, I'll capture you alive and bring you back to the Earth Demon sect. I'll make you suffer." The undying demon reverend suddenly threw a palm at Chu Fengmian. When the palm was thrown out, the monstrous demonic will swept across the entire secret chamber. Countless demonic wills poured into Chu Fengmian's body, trying to completely demonize Chu Fengmian's body and take control of it. The demonic will poured into Chu Fengmian's body from all directions like a flood. No matter how hard Chu Fengmian tried to resist, he could not resist the demonic will completely. These demonic wills invaded Chu Fengmian's body and even attempted to occupy his bloodline, completely controlling him. Damn it! Battle dragon strength. Resist the demonic will. Chu Fengmian shouted loudly. The ancient battle dragon's blood essence was pushed to the extreme, and all the battle dragon strength emerged. The battle dragon strength was indeed able to restrain countless evil spirits. However, the strength of the undying demon reverend was too strong. His demonic will was simply endless. Chu Fengmian's blood essence was a part of it, and his body was being eroded by the demonic will. The demonic will made it impossible for Chu Fengmian to escape. He couldn't even escape. If this continued, Chu Fengmian's bloodline would be taken over by the devil will sooner or later. At that time, he would truly become the undying devil sovereign's slave. Invincible battle dragon. Chu Fengmian gritted his teeth and unleashed all the power in his body. The power of creation in his sword embryo filled his body and forcefully resisted the erosion of the demonic will. What kind of power is this? It was simply more powerful than any other power. Could it be a creation? The power of fortune is the power of heaven and earth. How can it be controlled by a single person? Undying demon venerable sized up Chu Fengmian and saw the power of creation appear around Chu Fengmian to resist the surrounding demonic will. This power was much stronger than any power the undying demon venerable had ever seen. It was simply not on the same level. The power in Chu Fengmian's body was enough to surpass all power in the world. Only the power of creation in heaven and earth could achieve this. The power of creation is actually controlled by you. No wonder you could kill White Bone. Your fortuitous encounters are simply shocking. The power of creation. Anyone who can obtain this power is almost an invincible existence in heaven and earth. You have countless fortuitous encounters. Your bloodline isn't an ordinary dragon bloodline. It even possesses the power of creation. Good, good. Sure enough, it's an opportunity bestowed to me by the heavens. I'll kill you. After seizing your power bloodline, my strength will be able to take another step forward. I might even be able to step into the legendary life and death heavenly realm. Undying demon venerable looked at Chu Fengmian. At first, he was shocked, but then he became overjoyed. Ha, your realm is still too low. If your realm is enough to reach the life and death realm, you can take out any of your fortuitous encounters to contend with me. Unfortunately, your strength is simply unable to display all of your fortuitous encounters. Demonic will erosion. Be eroded by the demonic will. I'll take you to a secret place and carefully take away all of your fortuitous encounters. As Undying Demon Venerable spoke, the pressure of the demonic will became even more terrifying. The billowing demonic will washed over Chu Fengmian's body. More than half of his body had already been eroded by the demonic will. Only Chu Fengmian's bloodline was still stubbornly holding on. Once his bloodline was eroded, Chu Fengmian would be thoroughly finished. Roar! At the most dangerous moment, a dragon roar could be heard all of a sudden. The moment this dragon roar resounded, Chu Fengmian felt that the demonic will on his body was swept away. A true dragon ancestor soul suddenly appeared in front of Chu Fengmian and dissolved all of the spiritual energy on his body. Roar! Roar! Another dragon roar resounded. A total of 7 dragon roars resounded. A total of 7 true dragon ancestor souls were awakened. They came to Chu Fengmian's side and fused into his body. Suddenly, Chu Fengmian's body was filled with endless spiritual energy. The ancient battle dragon's phantom inside his body condensed 1,000 drops of ancient battle dragon blood essence. Chu Fengmian's realm instantly broke through. Great! The true dragon ancestor souls are indeed helping me. Although these true dragon ancestor souls have already fallen, they will provide all of their remaining strength when they see their own kind being hunted down. Chu Fengmian was overjoyed. The dragon tribe was indeed very united. Even in death, they still wanted to make a final contribution. With the support of the true dragon ancestor souls, Chu Fengmian's strength suddenly skyrocketed. Break for me! The ancestral dragon supreme sword in his hand was suddenly awakened. The sword will and dragon force in it were all integrated into Chu Fengmian's body. Sword Art of Massacre. Behind Chu Fengmian, all of the killing intent in the ancient god of massacre's phantom was integrated into the blade. Suddenly, it slashed at the demonic will around him. Rumble! A series of explosions were heard all of a sudden. A gap suddenly appeared in the seal formed by the boundless demonic intent in the surroundings with this sword strike. Humph! True dragon ancestor souls, a bunch of guys who have been dead for tens of thousands of years still want to stop me. Destroy all of them. So what if you have the support of strength? Today, no matter who is helping you, you will still die. The immortal demon Venerable made a prompt decision and flew towards Chu Fengmian. He struck out a palm in the air. This palm was no longer demonic will, but extremely terrifying strength. The immortal demon Venerable had already decided to kill Chu Fengmian instead of capturing him alive. A genius like Chu Fengmian was too terrifying. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had the most terrifying creation power in the world. Even if the immortal demon Venerable couldn't obtain it today, he had to kill Chu Fengmian to prevent future troubles. Chapter 544. The undying demon ancestor struck out with his palm. The power contained in it was several times stronger than before. The undying demon exalted had unleashed that palm strike with the intention of killing Chu Fengmian. The undying demon Venerable, who was filled with killing intent, was many times more terrifying than before. Chu Fengmian could feel the power of the palm. He knew that even with the help of the true dragon ancestor spirits, he would still die if he took the attack head-on. Phantom. Invisible and formless. Chu Fengmian moved his feet and pushed the phantom body technique to the extreme. His strength increased once again as he comprehended the latest level of the phantom body technique, invisible and formless. His body suddenly disappeared and appeared at the exit of the secret chamber in the next moment under the undying demon ancestor's surprised gaze. He then left the secret chamber in a flash. Trying to escape? Don't even think about it. No one can escape from my palm. The undying demon ancestor roared loudly as his demonic will swept out. He chased after Chu Fengmian and left the secret chamber. Chu Fengmian left the secret chamber and flew towards the deepest part of the ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling, following the guidance of his bloodline. The closer he got to the deepest part of the ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling, the stronger the restrictions became. Chu Fengmian wanted to escape from the undying demon ancestor. He had to rely on the strength of the restrictions in the ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling. Chu Fengmian could easily pass through the restrictions and delay the undying demon ancestor. Chu Fengmian unleashed his full strength along the way without hiding anything. Instead, his battle dragon aura burst out and filled the entire ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling. There were definitely more true dragon ancestral spirits slumbering in Dragon Emperor Yan's cave abode than the 7. As long as Chu Fengmian could awaken more true dragon ancestral spirits, he would be able to gain more power to help him. Moreover, the closer he got to the deepest part of the ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling, the more Chu Fengmian felt that the real treasures in the ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling were extraordinary. If he could get it, Chu Fengmian's strength would have a qualitative leap. Chu Fengmian felt that if he could get the treasures, he might be able to fight the undying demon ancestor. Chu Fengmian passed through countless restrictions and rushed into the depths of the ancient dragon Emperor Yan cave dwelling. There was no obstruction along the way. With Chu Fengmian's speed, he could cross dozens of kilometers in an instant. However, the enormous demonic intent behind Chu Fengmian was not shaken off in the slightest. Instead, it was getting closer and closer. The demon ancestor had no intention of letting Chu Fengmian go. Go! Just as Chu Fengmian was flying towards the depths of Dragon Emperor Yan's cave dwelling, he was also hot on his heels. The restrictions along the way were fatal to many cultivators, but for a big shot like Undying Demon Venerable, they were far from being able to stop him. Demon Ancestors was Demon Ancestor's spirit. In just 3 breaths' time, the immortal Demon Venerable had caught up. Damn it! The Undying Demon is to kill to his full ancestor. To kill. Demon's ancestor killing was to kill. Demon to kill. To demon was to kill. Demon on. Was. On, was. The Undying Demon Venerable ignored the countless restrictive spells and barged into Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave abode. Kid, let's see where you can run to. A 7-floored pagoda suddenly appeared in the Undying Demon Ancestor's hand and fell on Chu Fengmian. The pagoda was engraved with countless demons. Some of them were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they rushed into the sky, as if to challenge heaven's will. Demon Shrouding Pagoda? Chu Fengmian looked at the pagoda and exclaimed. The pagoda was engraved with the Demon Shrouding Pagoda. It was personally drawn by the ancient Demon Emperor, the strongest of the 9 regions' demon path. The ancient Demon Emperor's greatest treasure was the Demon Shrouding Pagoda. He had made this treasure to challenge heaven's will and overturn the heavenly Tao. Although he had failed in the end, the Demon Shrouding Pagoda had the power to shroud the heavens. It was a terrifying spiritual weapon. This pagoda was a replica of the Demon Shrouding Pagoda. The real Demon Shrouding Pagoda was an extreme immortal weapon. It was not inferior to the mortal Emperor Jar. The 7-floored pagoda in front of Chu Fengmian was only an Earth-grade spiritual weapon. Although it was an Earth-grade spiritual weapon, it was infinitely close to a Heaven-grade spiritual weapon. It contained the true power of the Demon Shrouding Pagoda. It was only a step away from a Heaven-grade spiritual weapon like the abundant lush steel. The pagoda was going to suppress Chu Fengmian at the bottom of the pagoda. Abundant lush steel. Go! A palm-sized stone steel suddenly appeared in Chu Fengmian's hand. It grew to dozens of meters in size in an instant and slammed into the pagoda. Bang! The resulting spiritual power caused the entire area to tremble, and the 7-story pagoda was sent flying by the richly lush tombstone. Although the pagoda was infinitely close to a Heaven-grade spiritual weapon, it was still lacking compared to a true Heaven-grade spiritual weapon. A Heaven-grade spiritual weapon? You have a Heaven-grade spiritual weapon? Undying Demon Venerable looked at the abundant lush steel in Chu Fengmian's hand, his heart going crazy with jealousy. He was a big shot of the Earth Demon sect, a high-level life and death expert. Yet, he only had a Demon Shrouding Pagoda replica that was infinitely close to a Heaven-grade spiritual weapon. It was already the strongest spiritual weapon he had. But now, Chu Fengmian had another Heaven-grade spiritual weapon apart from the ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword. How could he not be jealous? So what if you have a Heaven-grade spiritual weapon? If you're not strong enough, then all external weapons are useless. You still want to resist? Heavenly Demon Cage. Come out. Undying Demon Venerable grabbed with his hand. Boundless demonic will gathered around Chu Fengmian and condensed into a cage, trapping Chu Fengmian within. Seal. The appearance of the cage was meant to completely seal Chu Fengmian, making it impossible for him to escape. Damn it. This Undying Demon Venerable is too strong. If he wants to kill me, it'll be a piece of cake. But he still wants to capture me alive. This is my chance. Chu Fengmian was clear about the situation in front of him. If Undying Demon Venerable really wanted to kill him, he would have killed him with a single palm. He wouldn't have used the pagoda to condense a cage to seal Chu Fengmian. Undying Demon Venerable wanted to capture Chu Fengmian alive, which gave Chu Fengmian a chance. Roar! A dragon roar resounded from Chu Fengmian's mouth, spreading through the surrounding space. Roar! 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 Suddenly, countless dragon roars resounded in the surroundings. A total of over a dozen dragon roars resounded in the surroundings. Chapter 545. Roar! Countless dragon roars resounded in Dragon Emperor Yan's abode. Under Chu Fengmian's dragon roar, more true dragon ancestral spirits were awakened. Sensing Chu Fengmian's danger, they immediately flew over to help him. Who knew how many dragon spirits were buried in Dragon Emperor Yan's abode? Once upon a time, Dragon Emperor Yan Gu was the strongest being within the dragon race. He had countless followers. Now that he had fallen, his followers had disappeared as well. From the looks of it, all of them must have fallen within the cave of Dragon Emperor Yan Gu. Huge true dragon ancestral spirits flew over and charged at Undying Demon Venerable. Chu Fengmian's battle dragon bloodline was activated, causing these true dragon ancestor spirits to think that Chu Fengmian was a real dragon. Now that they saw Undying Devil Venerable chasing after Chu Fengmian, they all attacked him. Damn true dragon ancestral spirits. A bunch of guys who have been dead for tens of thousands of years. Die obediently. How dare you resist this old man? Break for me. Undying Demon Venerable roared. Today, even if Dragon Emperor Yan's ancestral spirits appear, I'll kill you. If I want to kill someone, no one can escape. Undying Demon Venerable waved his hand, and a vast spiritual power bombarded a few true dragon ancestral spirits, shattering them on the spot. These true dragon ancestral spirits were only at the 3rd or 4th level of life and death realm. They were far from being Undying Demon Venerable's match. Die for me. Undying Demon Venerable grabbed one of the true dragon ancestral spirits and crushed it on the spot. Kid, don't struggle anymore. I'll suppress you and take everything from you. Undying Demon Venerable waved his hand and grabbed at Chu Fengmian. Suppress. I'll never be suppressed by anyone. Undefeated Battle Dragon, Dragon Spirit Unyielding. Doomsday Rising Dragon. Chu Fengmian shouted, and Doomsday Aura rose. The countless true dragon ancestral spirits in front of him also sensed this aura, and they all roared tragically. Then, countless true dragon ancestral spirits soared into the sky. Doomsday Rising Dragon. Countless true dragon ancestral spirits would rather die than submit in front of Undying Demon Venerable. They gathered all their strength and displayed the most terrifying move of the dragon race. A single true dragon ancestral spirit's Doomsday Rising Dragon might not be able to resist Undying Demon Venerable. However, all the ancestral dragon true spirits gathered their spiritual energy and let out solemn dragon roars. Roar! 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 More than a dozen true dragon ancestral spirits roared at the same time and attacked Undying Demon Venerable. This Doomsday Rising Dragon looked like the end of the world. Destructive Doomsday spiritual energy erupted as the Doomsday Dragons unleashed by the dozen true dragon ancestral spirits slammed into the Undying Demon Sovereign. Finally, countless cracks appeared on the Undying Demon Venerable's body, and drops of black blood flowed out from them. The Undying Demon Sovereign was finally injured. He couldn't withstand the Doomsday Dragon unleashed by more than a dozen true dragon ancestral spirits. Damn! These damn dragon spirits actually injured me. Undying Demon Venerable roared crazily. He was a real big shot, the supreme demon venerable of the Earth Demon sect. But now, he was hurt by some dragon spirits that had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Boy, these true dragon ancestral spirits are dead. Let's see what other tricks you have this time. Stop struggling. All your struggles will only make you feel more pain. Undying Demon Venerable looked at Chu Fengmian with anger. In order to deal with a divine power realm ant, he had chased after him for so long and paid such a huge price. The culprit was Chu Fengmian. Do you think you can still resist? You have no chance to resist in front of me. Cage, seal. Suppress. Undying demon venerable shouted coldly. Spiritual power gathered in his palm and he clenched his fist. The cage around Chu Fengmian began to gather crazily, trying to seal Chu Fengmian in it. Danger. Every kind of danger. Chu Fengmian knew that if he was suppressed and fell into the hands of Undying Demon Venerable, he would definitely die. Damn it, I'll fight it out with him. This place is not far from the real treasure of ancient Yen Dragon Emperor cave dwelling. After I beat him back, I can rush in. Chu Fengmian's eyes showed some determination. Suddenly, a broken jar appeared in his palm. This broken jar was none other than the Emperor Jar. Chu Fengmian's final trump card was the Emperor Jar. As soon as the mortal Emperor Jar appeared, countless raging flames were ignited within it. With a thought, Chu Fengmian opened his empty ring, from which countless pills and rare items appeared and were tossed into the human Emperor Jar. Suddenly, the power of the Emperor Jar began to rise. It seemed to be catalyzed slightly. Some faint patterns appeared on the surface of the Emperor Jar. These patterns represented that Chu Fengmian had begun to activate the true power of the Emperor Jar. Not enough. Not enough. The Doomsday Dragon of more than a dozen true dragon ancestral spirits could only slightly injure Undying Demon Venerable. Although the Emperor Jar was extremely powerful and could easily crush 10,000 peak saints, it was still not enough to face Undying Demon Venerable. Endless spiritual stones. Burn them all. Chu Fengmian made a prompt decision. Without hesitation, he took out all the spiritual stones he had accumulated in his empty ring and threw them into the Emperor Jar. These spiritual stones were the king-grade spiritual stones that Chu Fengmian had condensed from the spiritual spring and the emperor-grade spiritual stones that he had obtained from ancient Yen Dragon Emperor cave dwelling. Chu Fengmian decisively threw the priceless spiritual stones into the human Emperor Jar to squeeze out the spiritual power from them. At this moment of life and death, wealth was useless. If he could not escape from Undying Demon Venerable today, it would be meaningless no matter how much wealth he had. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had obtained the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword today, which surpassed all his wealth. After burning countless spiritual stones, a complete pattern was finally formed on the Emperor Jar. Although only the broken parts were formed, it was enough to push the Emperor Jar's power to an extreme. What spiritual energy is this? An extreme path immortal weapon? How could this kid have such a legendary item? Undying Demon Venerable stared at the Emperor Jar, his eyes almost popping out. The spiritual energy on it even surpassed a heaven-grade spiritual weapon. This was a power that only the legendary extreme path immortal weapon possessed. Undying Demon Venerable panicked at first, but soon calmed down. So what if it's an extreme path immortal weapon? With your strength, you can only barely activate the power of an extreme path immortal weapon. Today, you will die. 6 chapters today. I can't write anymore. I can only write as much as I can every day. I can't write too much in a day. Chapter 546. Myriad Demons God Sealing Technique. Suppress. 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 The Undying Demon Venerable looked at Chu Fengmian and slammed his palm down. The power contained in it was heavier than countless mountains, and it pressed down on Chu Fengmian's body. Chu Fengmian's head and limbs were suppressed by this great power, and he could not move. Under the power of the Undying Demon Venerable, he suddenly turned into countless demons. Lone Demon. Ancient Demon. Oil Demon. War Demon. It was rumored that the thousands of demons from ancient times were all condensed. Each demon bared their fangs and brandished their claws, and they wanted to completely suppress Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian's body could not move at all, and he could not even send out a trace of his spiritual consciousness. The situation was extremely critical. Once Chu Fengmian was suppressed, he could not use the power of the human Emperor Jar. Damn it, this old demon wants to completely suppress me. As long as my spiritual power is suppressed, I can't use all my opportunities. Chu Fengmian cursed in his heart. the undying demon venerable had already used all his strength to suppress Chu Fengmian. He had planned to use the power of the human emperor jar to force the undying demon venerable to retreat, and then escape into the deepest part of the ancient dragon emperor cave mansion to obtain the opportunities inside. But now, the undying demon venerable was even more ferocious than Chu Fengmian had imagined. He wanted to suppress Chu Fengmian at all costs. Chu Fengmian's realm was far from the undying demon venerable's. He was able to contend with the undying demon venerable because of Chu Fengmian's countless opportunities, bloodline, and spiritual weapons. But now, the undying demon venerable wanted to completely suppress Chu Fengmian's spiritual power. Once suppressed, Chu Fengmian's bloodline and spiritual weapons would be useless. At that time, Chu Fengmian would really be at the mercy of others. No! I can't be suppressed. I want to flatten the 7 sections. How can I die in the hands of this old demon? Battle Dragon Bloodline. The Tao of Slaughter, the power of creation. Let them all explode. Chu Fengmian roared crazily, and his spiritual power erupted. All his opportunities and potential were squeezed to the extreme. Waves of spiritual energy began to fight against the undying demon venerable's power in Chu Fengmian's body. Brat, you've had many fortuitous encounters. Unfortunately, you don't have the power to use the power of these fortuitous encounters. Without power, no matter how many fortuitous encounters you have, they are all useless. Undying Demon Venerable looked at Chu Fengmian with jealousy. Chu Fengmian had obtained too many fortuitous encounters. The Dragon Bloodline, Heaven-grade spirit weapon, and now, even the legendary Extreme Tao Immortal weapon had fallen into his hands. You will be suppressed by me. All of your fortuitous encounters will be mine. Brat, you don't have to struggle anymore. 10,000 demons united. Suppress. The Undying Demon Venerable unleashed another burst of spiritual energy from his palm and pressed down. All of a sudden, the 10,000 demons also activated their supreme techniques to suppress Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian's bloodline and power were completely suppressed. The current Chu Fengmian was simply unable to use the slightest bit of power. His Battle Dragon bloodline was completely suppressed. The power of the Battle Dragon technique was suppressed to the deepest part of Chu Fengmian's body. It was firmly suppressed and could not be shaken. Chu Fengmian's body no longer had any spiritual energy. The power of his bloodline had been completely suppressed. Only his consciousness was left. Suppress. The Undying Demon Venerable roared and finally uttered a word. This word was to completely suppress and destroy Chu Fengmian's consciousness. Once his consciousness was destroyed, Chu Fengmian would completely fall. Natal Sword Origin. Creation Divine Sword. The moment the Undying Demon Venerable suppressed with his supreme spiritual energy, Chu Fengmian finally used his final trump card in his body. The only thing in his body that had not been suppressed was his Natal Sword Origin. His Natal Sword Origin was condensed from the most powerful creation force in the world. No matter how powerful the Undying Demon Venerable was, he could not suppress the creation force. Whoosh! A sword light suddenly flickered and appeared. This sword light did not resist the Undying Demon Venerable's power. Instead, it turned into a ray of light and poured into the Emperor Jar. Immediately, the Emperor Jar's power began to stir. Chu Fengmian wanted to use the power of his Natal Sword Origin to forcibly activate the Emperor Jar. Right now, the only power that could contend against the Undying Demon Venerable was the Emperor Jar. Tao of the Human Emperor. Enlighten all living beings. The Emperor Jar's power finally reached its peak at this moment. The spiritual energy of the countless spiritual stones burning inside was completely stimulated. Now that he had obtained another fragment of the Emperor Jar, its power was countless times stronger than when Chu Fengmian had first obtained it. Moreover, in order to activate the Emperor Jar's power, Chu Fengmian had burned all his wealth. With so many treasures converted into spiritual energy, even a high-level life and death expert would be stuffed to death. Now, all of them had been burned and turned into a single attack in the Emperor Jar. At this moment, the Emperor Jar's power that Chu Fengmian had displayed was the strongest power he had ever displayed in his life. The Emperor Jar soared into the sky and suddenly erupted with boundless spiritual energy. This surge of spiritual energy seemed to want to destroy everything around it. Damn it! The power of the extreme immortal weapon has been activated. Undying Demon Venerable's face was extremely pale. In an instant, he withdrew all his power and blocked in front of him, turning it into countless barriers to resist the power of the Emperor Jar. He knew the power of the Emperor Jar. It was enough to make him feel fear. An extreme Dao celestial weapon. Even if it was a broken extreme Dao celestial weapon, its power was still extremely terrifying. Rumble. The power condensed on the Emperor Jar finally erupted. It turned into a dense spiritual energy that swept everything in the surroundings. Endless explosions sounded one after another. In the next moment, the surrounding space turned silent. It seemed to be enough to completely obliterate everything in the world. The surging spiritual energy washed over everything in the surroundings as if it wanted to completely destroy everything. No matter how strong the power was, it couldn't resist the Emperor Jar. Let's go! Even Chu Fengmian's face changed abruptly. His figure moved and fled toward Dragon Emperor Yan's cave. With such power, even as the owner of the Emperor Jar, Chu Fengmian would die without a doubt if he was caught in it. His figure flickered again and again as he pushed his speed to the limit. He broke through countless restrictions and entered the depths of Dragon Emperor Yan's cave amidst the explosions. Chapter 547. Chu Fengmian's figure flickered again and again, pushing his speed to the limit. It was as if he was racing against death. Fortunately, Chu Fengmian had the Battle Dragon bloodline, so none of the restrictions in ancient Yan Dragon Emperor's cave could stop him. Otherwise, Chu Fengmian would have been killed by the power of the Emperor Jar. I wonder if Undying Demon Venerable can withstand such a bombardment. With the power of the Emperor Jar, even a high-level life and death expert would die. But, Undying Demon Venerable doesn't seem like an ordinary high-level life and death expert. Especially since he's known as Undying, his vitality is tyrannical to the extreme. Chu Fengmian thought inwardly as he observed the situation behind him. Amidst the explosions, an incomparably huge figure suddenly charged out from the countless explosions. This figure was covered in countless wounds. His skin was cracked, and his whole body was covered in blood. He was simply a blood man. Little bastard. I want you dead. I'm known as Undying. I'll never die. A crazy roar resounded. This figure turned into a streak of light and chased after Chu Fengmian. Undying Demon Venerable. Under such bombardment, Undying Demon Venerable actually didn't die in front of the extremely condensed spiritual power of the Emperor Jar. The countless wounds on his body weren't fake. In front of such a terrifying power, even the Undying Demon Venerable was seriously injured. But even so, he didn't think of letting Chu Fengmian go. Instead, he ignored his injuries and rushed forward. His heart was burning with anger. He really wanted to kill Chu Fengmian regardless of the consequences. The anger in Undying Demon Venerable's heart couldn't be extinguished. In order to deal with a junior like Chu Fengmian, he had chased after Chu Fengmian countless times. And now, Chu Fengmian had escaped from his hands several times. Moreover, Chu Fengmian had used the power of the Emperor Jar to seriously injure him. With Undying Demon Venerable's identity, he actually paid such a high price to deal with a junior. It was simply a disgrace to him. Right now, Undying Demon Venerable couldn't wait to kill Chu Fengmian, eat his flesh, drink his blood, and burn his soul. Only then would his anger subside slightly. Die! The Undying Demon Venerable turned into an extremely fast escape light and chased after Chu Fengmian, wanting to kill him completely. Along the way, he didn't even try to break the restrictions. Even if the restrictions hit him, he didn't care at all. He just wanted to catch Chu Fengmian again and kill him. Damn it, this old devil's strength is terrifying. With my current strength, I can't activate the Emperor Jar again. Apart from the power of the Emperor Jar, I can't fight him at all. Chu Fengmian cursed in his heart. At the same time, he flew towards the deepest part of Dragon Emperor Yan's cave dwelling. The undying demonic venerable was extremely difficult to deal with. Even the terrifying power of the Runhuang Jar was not enough to destroy him. Fortunately, when the Emperor Jar burst out its power, it bought Chu Fengmian a lot of time. Chu Fengmian was the first to escape, and now he could still put some distance between them. However, given the short distance between them, Chu Fengmian would most likely be caught within 5 seconds. Soon, the real treasure of the ancient Yan Dragon Monarch Cave is just ahead. Chu Fengmian could already feel the thirst of the battle dragon skill in his body. The thing that the battle dragon skill desired was just ahead. Chu Fengmian didn't know what the battle dragon skill desired in the ancient Yan Dragon Monarch Cave. However, Chu Fengmian could vaguely feel that as long as he could get it, he would have the ability to fight against the undying demonic venerable. Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 streaks of light shuttled rapidly in the ancient Yan Dragon Monarch Cave. The countless restrictions in the ancient Yan Dragon Monarch Cave were completely ignored by the two. Chu Fengmian relied on the power of the ancient battle dragon bloodline to move freely. As for the undying demonic venerable, he broke through countless restrictions with pure strength. These restrictions wouldn't affect the undying demonic venerable at his peak. However, the undying demonic venerable was severely injured now. Forcefully resisting these restrictions would only worsen his injuries. The undying demonic venerable didn't care about his injuries anymore. Killing Chu Fengmian was all that was on his mind now. As long as he could kill Chu Fengmian and obtain Chu Fengmian's countless opportunities, he would be able to make up for all his losses. Brat, even if you run to the ends of the earth, you will still die today. The undying demonic venerable roared. His anger had reached its peak. If a pair of eyes could kill, Chu Fengmian would have been killed countless times by him. Come if you can catch up to me. Chu Fengmian turned around and sneered. He used all his strength to activate his escape technique. After passing through the last restriction, Chu Fengmian suddenly came to a very special space. In this space, it could be said that the sky was filled with blood mist, which contained countless fragrant fresh blood. What is this place? Chu Fengmian glanced around. He could feel that the thing that the battle dragon skill desired was in this space. Just as Chu Fengmian was still thinking, the undying demonic venerable had already caught up to him and rushed into this space. Die! As soon as the undying demonic venerable entered this space, he didn't hesitate to throw a palm strike at Chu Fengmian. This palm strike was not only meant to suppress Chu Fengmian, but also to kill him. Sword! Facing the danger, Chu Fengmian waved his hand and the ancestral dragon supreme sword appeared in his hand. All of a sudden, the countless runes on the ancestral dragon supreme sword seemed to have been awakened. Coming to this space, the ancestral dragon supreme sword seemed to have undergone some changes. When they were outside, the ancestral dragon supreme sword was like an expert in a deep slumber. Coming to this space, the ancestral dragon supreme sword was completely awakened. Dang! The ancestral dragon supreme sword burst out a burst of shocking sword light, completely blocking the power of the undying demonic venerable. This sword light wasn't Chu Fengmian's power, but the ancestral dragon supreme sword's own power. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's figure turned into a ray of light and flew into the space. The ancestral dragon supreme sword seemed to be guiding Chu Fengmian. Following the guidance of the ancestral dragon supreme sword, Chu Fengmian flew rapidly. Suddenly, an incomparably huge ocean appeared in front of him. It was an ocean that seemed to have no end. In this ocean, there wasn't seawater, but blood. It was a blood sea formed by blood. Chapter 548. Chu Fengmian was also stunned by the scene before him. No one would have thought that the deepest part of Dragon Emperor Yan's cave dwelling, the center of this space, was actually a sea of blood. This sea of blood was so huge that Chu Fengmian couldn't see the end of it. There was actually such a huge sea of blood hidden in Dragon Emperor Yan's cave dwelling. This wasn't what shocked Chu Fengmian the most. What shocked Chu Fengmian the most was that Chu Fengmian could only feel the existence of one type of spiritual energy in this sea of blood. In other words, the sea of blood before them was formed from the blood of an expert. What kind of terrifying existence is this? Only his blood could form such a sea of blood. Chu Fengmian had read countless ancient books in his previous life, but he couldn't figure out who could condense blood into such a boundless sea of blood. Could this sea of blood be condensed from Dragon Emperor Yan's blood? Chu Fengmian suddenly thought of something that could do all this with the guidance of the ancestral dragon's supreme sword. Perhaps only Dragon Emperor Yan, who had once stood at the peak of the 9 regions, could create such a huge sea of blood after his death. The greatest treasure in Dragon Emperor Yan's cave abode was actually a sea of blood formed by his blood. I wonder how much pure spiritual energy is contained in this sea of blood. What kind of natural wonder is this? The dragon blood crystals are just condensed from the blood of some true dragon. This sea of blood is equivalent to the power of 1,000,000 or even 10 million dragon blood crystals. Looking at the sea of blood in front of him, Chu Fengmian felt as if he was looking at an incomparably huge treasure. No, this was simply a treasury. It was filled with endless treasures that were displayed in front of Chu Fengmian. Let's go! Chu Fengmian made a prompt decision and woke up instantly. No wonder he wanted the battling dragon duel so much. Chu Fengmian couldn't imagine how terrifying his spiritual energy would be if he devoured wantonly in this sea of blood. Chu Fengmian dived into the sea of blood in an instant. Immediately, the blood in the sea of blood surged towards Chu Fengmian. Chu Fengmian didn't hold back either. He opened his mouth wide and devoured the endless amount of blood. Every drop of blood here was purer than the essence blood of saints, or even the essence blood of life and death experts. The dragon power contained within was the most suitable power for Chu Fengmian. If a venerable cultivator came here, they might not be able to devour this sea of blood because the dragon force within it was simply too great. If an ordinary martial artist swallowed the blood, they would be affected by the dragon power and turn into a half-dragon, half-human monster. However, Chu Fengmian was different. Chu Fengmian cultivated the battle dragon art. The dragon force was simply Chu Fengmian's greatest tonic. In Chu Fengmian's body, the shadow of the ancient war dragon appeared directly behind Chu Fengmian. It opened its mouth in a frenzy and devoured the endless spiritual energy in the sea of blood. Like a hungry tiger, it rushed into a flock of sheep and began to devour the blood in a frenzy. Drops of ancient war dragon's blood essence condensed madly in Chu Fengmian's body. 100 drops, 200 drops, 300 drops. Almost at every moment, it was condensing madly. Chu Fengmian used almost all of his strength to devour the countless drops of blood and the spiritual energy in them. Boom! Chu Fengmian's power soon reached the critical point and broke through, reaching the 7th level of the divine power realm in a single leap. Moreover, the spiritual energy in Chu Fengmian's body was still rising steadily. Great! As long as the battle dragon art doesn't encounter a bottleneck, as long as there is enough spiritual energy, I can break through without restraint. This sea of blood is simply my heaven. Devour! Devour everything! Chu Fengmian burst out with all of his strength and turned into an ancient war dragon. He opened his mouth and devoured countless drops of blood. The spiritual energy contained in the countless drops of blood was simply the purest spiritual energy in the world. It was comparable to the spiritual energy in the royal grade spirit stone. Refining it was extremely simple. There was no need to remove the impurities in it at all. It could all be converted into Chu Fengmian's spiritual energy. Boom! In the sky above the sea of blood, a loud noise suddenly sounded. The undying demon Venerable had finally caught up. The undying demon Venerable saw Chu Fengmian deep in the sea of blood. Although the sea of blood contained endless spiritual energy, it also contained a unique dragon power. The undying demon Venerable did not have the bloodline of the dragon clan, so he could not get close to the sea of blood. However, it was not a problem for the undying demon Venerable, who was a big shot of the earth demon sect. he suddenly reached out and grabbed Chu Fengmian, who was in the sea of blood. His grab had the power to move mountains and fill seas. He wanted to grab Chu Fengmian out of the endless sea of blood. Damn it! This old demon is here to make trouble again. Chu Fengmian was extremely angry. At this critical moment, the undying demon venerable had caught up with him again. He was now condensing the essence blood of the ancient war dragon to improve his strength. Now that he was disturbed, he was extremely angry. However, Chu Fengmian also knew that his strength was not enough to compete with the undying demon venerable. Even if the one who was seriously injured was not a demon venerable, it was still extremely terrifying. Unless Chu Fengmian's strength improved further. What Chu Fengmian needed now was to stall for time. The ancient war dragon's shadow was already in the sea of blood, continuously devouring the spiritual energy. As long as Chu Fengmian continued to devour the spiritual energy, he would be able to make another breakthrough in his cultivation realm. Abundant Lush Monument. Chu Fengmian called out the Abundant Lush Monument and attacked, resisting the power of the undying demon venerable. At the same time, Chu Fengmian was also continuously devouring the spiritual energy in the sea of blood. The more spiritual energy he devoured, the stronger Chu Fengmian became. As long as he could stall for time, Chu Fengmian's strength would improve further. Even if he was facing the undying demon venerable, Chu Fengmian still had the strength to fight. Damn it, this kid has the bloodline of the dragon clan. He's continuously devouring the spiritual energy in the sea of blood. If I let him continue to devour, I won't be his match. The undying demon venerable saw Chu Fengmian resisting and understood that Chu Fengmian was stalling for time. Now that Chu Fengmian was continuously devouring the spiritual energy in the sea of blood, his strength was increasing rapidly. If Chu Fengmian's strength were to increase further, he might not be Chu Fengmian's match. No, I'll go all out. Today, even if I have to burn my life force, I must kill this kid. The undying demon venerable roared fiercely, his eyes were filled with a hint of madness. He spat out a big mouthful of essence blood, which burned fiercely. Chapter 549. Almost 30% of undying demon venerable's essence blood was being burned. The more powerful one was, the greater the price one had to pay for burning essence blood. Burning essence blood meant that undying demon venerable's strength would drop by 30%. This was the result of his thousands of years of bitter cultivation. Now, in order to deal with Chu Fengmian, undying demon venerable disregarded everything and burned his essence blood to kill Chu Fengmian. Demons are 10 feet taller. Indiscriminate destruction. Undying demon venerable madly roared and pushed his spiritual power to the extreme. His body trembled as he burned his essence blood. This made undying demon venerable's heart ache. However, in order to kill Chu Fengmian, it was all worth it. Not good. This undying demon venerable has gone mad. Feeling undying demon venerable's power, Chu Fengmian's body trembled. Undying demon venerable's strength was already among the top of countless life and death experts. Now that he was burning his essence blood, his strength had risen to the extreme. This move, indiscriminate destruction, was undying demon venerable's ultimate move. He didn't hesitate to burn his essence blood to kill Chu Fengmian. Battle Dragon Strength. Natal Sword Essence. Slaughter Dao. Condense and merge with the sword. Chu Fengmian's expression was also extremely solemn. This was the undying demon venerable's true killing move, and also his final killing move. If he couldn't block it, all of Chu Fengmian's efforts would be for naught. It would be meaningless. Everlasting Sword. On Chu Fengmian's body, his sword intent had also condensed to the extreme. The extreme sword intent revolved around his sword edge. Facing the boundless demonic intent descending from the sky, the sword edge in his hand slashed down. Pung! The sword edge and demonic intent collided in the air. Chu Fengmian's sword intent was almost instantly destroyed. A terrifying expert of high-level life and death realm had burned his essence blood and cultivated bitterly for 1,000 years to unleash his strongest attack. No one could imagine how powerful it was. Chu Fengmian's strength couldn't contend against it at all. In an instant, his body was surrounded by boundless spiritual power. It was an absolute death trap. In the next moment, Chu Fengmian was about to be crushed by this spiritual power. Crack! Chu Fengmian's body began to shatter under this power. Even with the power of his battle dragon bloodline and his body that had been tempered by the sky crystal, he could not fight against this terrifying power. It was as if Chu Fengmian would be completely annihilated in an instant. However, at this moment, a surge of spiritual energy erupted from Chu Fengmian's body. This surge of spiritual energy swept away all the spiritual energy around Chu Fengmian. At the same time, Chu Fengmian's body condensed instantly. The aura on Chu Fengmian's body was completely different from before. He had broken through. At this critical juncture, Chu Fengmian's cultivation level finally broke through again. Countless surging spiritual energies surrounded Chu Fengmian and finally poured into Chu Fengmian's body. The ancient war dragon's blood essence in his body had reached a total of 9,000 drops. He had truly stepped into the 8th level of the divine force realm. Damn it, this brat actually broke through at this moment. However, even if you break through now, it's useless. You're destined to die today. The immortal demon Exalted's face was extremely crazy when he saw Chu Fengmian break through. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Chu Fengmian was almost killed by him just now. Now that he had recovered, he was so angry that he was about to die. The immortal demon Exalted was furious. He bombarded Chu Fengmian with boundless spiritual energy again. Universe Strike. Countless spiritual weapons appeared on the immortal demon Exalted's body. Not only were there spiritual weapons, there were also countless mystical items. All of his wealth appeared at once. All of them were burned and turned into the purest spiritual energy. He had gambled everything he had. The power of this attack was even more terrifying than before. This time, Chu Fengmian's face became incomparably relaxed. He was no longer as nervous as before. Old demon, do you really think that I'm afraid of you? Chu Fengmian let out a long roar. Suddenly, countless drops of blood were burned in his hand. These drops of blood were the blood of the Blood Sea. The spiritual energy contained in them was incomparably pure. The spiritual energy that was burned was no different from burning spiritual stones. The spiritual energy in the Blood Sea was endless. No matter how much it was burned, Chu Fengmian did not feel any heartache. The burning spiritual energy was all gathered on the ancestral dragon supreme sword by Chu Fengmian. Suddenly, he held the sword and slashed at the immortal demon Exalted. Bang! The two forces clashed once again. This time around, the two forces had actually reached a level where they were evenly matched. What? The immortal demon Exalted's face was extremely gloomy when he saw that Chu Fengmian's strength was enough to contend against him. The ant in his eyes had actually reached a level where he could contend against him now. Chu Fengmian's cultivation realm had officially stepped into level 8 divine power realm. He truly had the strength to contend against the immortal demon Exalted. Not only that, the spiritual energy in Chu Fengmian's body was still rising crazily. The stronger Chu Fengmian's power was, the greater the power that the ancient war dragon's shadow in the Blood Sea was absorbing. The speed at which the ancient war dragon's blood essence was condensed in his body had increased by a lot. At the moment when Chu Fengmian slashed out his sword, his cultivation realm had another breakthrough and reached level 9 divine power realm. Ha ha ha, immortal demon Exalted, you've chased me all the way here. Looks like the one who's going to die today is you. Chu Fengmian looked at the immortal demon Exalted and laughed loudly. He had been chased by the immortal demon Exalted for so long. Now, Chu Fengmian's strength had finally reached the level where he could contend against the immortal demon Exalted. Sword roaring in the 9 heavens. The ancestral dragon supreme sword in Chu Fengmian's hand moved. As he slashed out, the sword aura suddenly turned into 9 ancient war dragons. They roared repeatedly and chased after the immortal demon Exalted. The strength of each ancient war dragon had already reached the high level of life and death realm. No matter how strong the immortal demon Exalted was, he couldn't contend against 9 high-level life and death realm ancient war dragons. Run! The immortal demon Exalted roared madly. He wasn't a madman. He naturally understood that the current Chu Fengmian was no longer someone he could contend against. If he went all out, his strength should surpass Chu Fengmian. However, he was first heavily injured by the Emperor Jar and then broke through countless seals. Under such heavy injuries, he simply didn't have the strength to contend against Chu Fengmian. Making a prompt decision, the immortal demon Exalted turned into a ray of light and flew away. Chapter 550. Previously, the immortal demon Venerable had been chasing Chu Fengmian all the way, forcing Chu Fengmian into a desperate situation countless times. Now, the tables had turned. Chu Fengmian's strength had reached its limit in the Blood Sea. Boom! Chu Fengmian's strength finally stopped rising. His strength had reached the limit of the divine power realm. In Chu Fengmian's blood vessels, there were a total of 12,960 drops of ancient battle dragon blood essence condensed. Behind Chu Fengmian, the ancient battle dragon shadow had already condensed 2 claws. This also meant that Chu Fengmian now had close to 1/10 of the ancient battle dragon's bloodline power. This was the limit of the divine power realm. If Chu Fengmian wanted to advance further, he had to break through the bottleneck again. However, this was already enough. In the ancient Dragon Emperor cave dwelling, Chu Fengmian had already obtained countless opportunities, especially the Blood Sea, which was simply a great opportunity. Chu Fengmian had to condense the ancient battle dragon blood essence every time he broke through a realm in the battle dragon skill, which consumed a lot of spiritual energy. Now, the Blood Sea was a treasure trove of spiritual energy, allowing Chu Fengmian's realm to reach the limit of the divine power realm. This only consumed less than 1/10 of the spiritual energy in the Blood Sea. The spiritual energy in the Blood Sea was simply enormous. Although it was not as great as the Saint Spring of the Beimang Academy, it was comparable to the spiritual energy of millions or even hundreds of millions of royal-grade spiritual stones. I will collect the Blood Sea later. Today, I must kill the immortal demon Venerable. Chu Fengmian moved and chased after the immortal demon Venerable. The immortal demon Venerable had been chasing Chu Fengmian for so long, forcing Chu Fengmian into a desperate situation countless times. If Chu Fengmian let him go, he would not be Chu Fengmian anymore. Moreover, the immortal demon Venerable knew all of Chu Fengmian's trump cards. If Chu Fengmian let him go, the immortal demon Venerable would definitely spread the news and bring Chu Fengmian endless trouble. His bloodline, the ancestral dragon supreme sword, the power of creation, and even the Emperor's jar. Even the old antiques of the 7 major sects wanted to obtain them. No matter what, the immortal demon Venerable would fall in the ancient Dragon Emperor cave dwelling today. Run! 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 Once I escape, I'll reveal all of this brat's trump cards. At that time, there's no need for our Earth Demon sect to deal with him, the 7 great sects will be the first to kill him. Immortal demon Venerable fled as fast as he could. At the same time, he had already come up with a plan to leak information about Chu Fengmian. Today, in order to deal with Chu Fengmian, he had exhausted all of his wealth and even burned his blood essence, paying such a great price. If he didn't take revenge, he wouldn't be worthy of being called a devil. However, his imagination was not over yet. A streak of light was faster than him, catching up to him from behind. Several sword glows were unleashed, sealing off the space in the surroundings. This scene was simply déjà vu. Now, it was the undying demon Venerable who was trapped inside. Damn it, how can this person's escape light be so fast? Fight! As long as I can escape today and leak this person's information, it will be enough to avenge me. Undying demon Venerable had a crazed look on his face. A drop of demon blood suddenly appeared in his bosom. The spiritual power contained in this drop of demon blood was even purer than that of the dragon blood in the Blood Sea. Whose blood essence is this? Such demonic intent. It must be a drop of blood essence from one of the top figures in the 9 regions. Chu Fengmian looked at the drop of demon blood in Undying Demon Venerable's hand in astonishment. The Undying Demon Venerable had kept such a trump card. Damn brat, this blood essence was left behind by the 10 heavenly demons. Originally, I wanted to obtain the inheritance of the 10 heavenly demons. Today, I have no choice but to use this demon blood. Undying Demon Venerable's eyes were filled with reluctance. This drop of demon blood was the blood essence of the 10 heavenly demons, one of the top figures in the history of the 9 regions. This drop of blood essence was related to the inheritance of the 10 heavenly demons. Now that Undying Demon Venerable had swallowed it, it meant that he had to give up the inheritance of the 10 heavenly demons. But now, he had no other choice. Brat, you'll be hunted down by countless experts. I'll spread your news to every corner of the 9 regions. Undying Demon Venerable swallowed the drop of demon blood, and his strength was instantly restored to its peak. The 10 heavenly demons were no weaker than ancient Dragon Emperor Yan. This drop of blood was not the ordinary blood of the 10 heavenly demons. It was a drop of blood essence that contained the peak power of the 10 heavenly demons. After swallowing it, Undying Demon Venerable's strength was instantly restored to its peak. Sensing this power, Undying Demon Venerable's face was filled with confidence. He turned around and threw a punch at Chu Fengmian. He wanted to use the power of the 10 heavenly demons' blood essence to kill Chu Fengmian. Undying Demon Venerable's punch contained endless mysteries. It was a punch that was close to his perfect state. When he threw it out, its power was several times stronger than before. He displayed the true strength of an important figure in the Earth Demon sect. However, Chu Fengmian's expression was extremely calm. He did not care if Undying Demon Venerable had recovered to his perfect state. Chu Fengmian slowly picked up the Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword in the face of this attack and infused its sword intent into it. Boom! When his sword landed, the 2 forces collided and shook Dragon Emperor Yan Gu's cave abode. The aftershock from the collision was enough to kill a martial artist like Luo Zhanhen. The 2 forces were in a stalemate. However, in the next moment, the power of Undying Demon Venerable's punch was completely destroyed. So what if you have swallowed the 10 heavenly demons' blood essence? Your full strength is nothing more than an ant in front of the current me. Chu Fengmian snorted coldly and the blade of his sword increased. Half of the Undying Demon Venerable's body was devoured in an instant. His body was split into 2, and the other half of his body was completely destroyed by the sword. Impossible. My full strength. How can my full strength be defeated? Undying Demon Venerable shouted in disbelief. I will never die. No one can kill me. Undying Demon Venerable roared. On the other side of his body, the body that was destroyed by the sword started to reform again. Undying Demon Venerable cultivated some kind of cultivation technique that had the same effect as the battle dragon art. At least he could recover quickly from any injuries that were not fatal. However, in Chu Fengmian's opinion, Undying Demon Venerable was just a momentary recovery before death. He could only use it once. Undying Demon Venerable? Let's see how many times you can recover. Slash. Chu Fengmian snorted and the blade of his sword fell again. Chapter 551. The Undying Demon Venerable's recovery was just the final radiance of the setting sun. His cultivation method was enough to condense the spiritual energy in his body. Therefore, no matter how serious the injury, he could recover. Thus, he was called the Undying Demon Venerable. However, the Undying Demon Venerable's spiritual energy would always be exhausted. Today, even if the Undying Demon Venerable had 1,000 lives, Chu Fengmian would still kill him. Sword break! The Ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword in Chu Fengmian's hand suddenly slashed down. This sword was the real killing move. A terrifying sword domain shrouded the Undying Demon Venerable's body. Under this sword intent, the Undying Demon Venerable's body was directly shattered. However, in the next moment, he recovered instantly. As long as he had spiritual energy, the undying demon venerable was a true immortal existence. However, under this sword attack, the undying demon venerable's spiritual energy had been consumed by 30%. If this continued, the undying demon venerable would die in Chu Fengmian's hands sooner or later. Damn it! How could this kid's strength reach such a terrifying level? The undying demon venerable looked at Chu Fengmian and felt the terror of Chu Fengmian's sword. He had never expected this. He had once survived the pursuit of a peak life and death expert. Therefore, he was called the undying demon venerable. But now, Chu Fengmian's sword attack had broken through 30% of his spiritual energy. If this continued, he would die in a few sword attacks. The undying demon venerable didn't expect that he would die one day. Moreover, Chu Fengmian's strength was enough to force him to this point even though he hadn't reached the life and death realm. Go, I'm going to abandon my body. As long as I report to our Earth Demon Sex elders, they'll definitely give me great benefits. Even if I abandon my body, as long as I report this news, I'll be able to make up for all my losses. The undying demon venerable let out a long roar. His body suddenly exploded, turning into a huge explosion that bombarded Chu Fengmian's endless spiritual energy. At the same time, his soul turned into a streak of light and fled outside. The undying demon venerable wanted to self-destruct to delay Chu Fengmian and buy him time to escape. Escape? In my hands, you have nowhere to run. Chu Fengmian snorted coldly. He moved his sword in the face of the oncoming explosion. The power of the explosion was instantly dispersed by Chu Fengmian's sword. At the same time, Chu Fengmian reached out with his hand, suppressing undying devil paragon and sealing him inside. Boom! Just as the undying demon venerable was sealed, a series of rumbling sounds could be heard. Two more figures charged in from within the space. These two silhouettes were exuding a demonic aura. The blood-red robes they wore indicated their status. They were also two great figures of the Earth Demon sect. These two were only a bit weaker than undying demon venerable at his peak. However, they had both reached the 6th level of life and death realm, stepping into high-level life and death realm. Demon Venerable Li Sha. Demon Venerable Blood. Both of you, come and save me. The undying demon venerable shouted when he saw the two figures. What? Undying demon venerable? You were actually forced into such a state by a divine force realm ant? Demon Venerable Li Sha and Demon Venerable Blood looked at Undying Demon Venerable who was sealed by Chu Fengmian's palm and then glanced at Chu Fengmian. For a moment, they were incomparably astonished. However, the two quickly reacted and looked at Chu Fengmian, furiously shouting. Brat, you dare to suppress Undying Demon Venerable? Do you want to become enemies with our Earth Demon sect? A mere divine force realm ant dares to be impudent in front of our Earth Demon sect? Seeing that you're from the North Sea Academy, we'll kill you today and teach the Academy a lesson. Demon Venerable Li Sha furiously roared as a supreme killing intent condensed on his body and pressed down on Chu Fengmian. This killing intent turned into formless killing swords and pierced towards Chu Fengmian. Such tyrannical power was enough to kill Luo Zhanhan and Bai Xian with a wave of his hand. Ants? You two trash dare to be impudent? Just as well. Today, if anyone from your Earth Demon sect comes, I'll kill them and use your blood as a sacrifice. Chu Fengmian coldly snorted as the sword in his hand suddenly moved. If his strength hadn't broken through, any high-level life and death expert could easily defeat Chu Fengmian and even hunt him down. However, now that Chu Fengmian had successfully broken through, even Undying Demon Venerable was like an ant before him. Demon Venerable Li Sha was nothing. World Sword Transformation. The moment Chu Fengmian's sword slashed out, it immediately filled the sky with swords, turning the surrounding space into a world of swords. The killing intent on Demon Venerable Li Sha's body was directly cut apart by the countless swords. He was forced back several steps and spurted out a mouthful of blood. What a powerful sword art! What kind of sword art is this? No, his power comes from the sword in his hand. Heaven Great Spirit Artifact, this is Dragon Emperor Yen Gu's ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword? Demon Venerable Blood looked at the sword in Chu Fengmian's hand and deeply understood how powerful the sword in Chu Fengmian's hand was. The ancestral Dragon Supreme Sword was the Dragon Clan's supreme treasure, an outstanding heaven-grade spirit artifact. In Chu Fengmian's hand, it was almost invincible. Let's attack together and kill this kid. Let's fight a bloody battle. Demon Venerable Blood attacked crazily. His body exploded, and countless essence blood burst out and began to burn. Demon Venerable Blood was a madman when he fought. He first injured himself before injuring others. An incomparably huge blood-colored palm print suddenly descended from the sky, bombarding Chu Fengmian. Great killing palm print. Demon Venerable Li Sha also attacked, bombarding with a palm print. Overflowing demonic intent, lawless. Undying Demon Venerable also mobilized almost all of his spiritual power and suddenly condensed it into a fist. He used all of his strength to launch a final attack, wanting to thoroughly kill Chu Fengmian. A bunch of ants, you want to overturn the heavens with your combined strength? Chu Fengmian said faintly, and the sword in his hand moved. On the sword, the battle dragon art and Chu Fengmian's sword intent merged into one. Each of the sword blades contained endless dragon power. Destroy. The sword in Chu Fengmian's hand fell, and the countless sword blades turned into ferocious ancient battle dragons, roaring as they descended. Suddenly, the dragons danced wildly, and dragons soared into the sky. All of the power condensed by the three demons was completely defeated by the countless battle dragons. Ah! With a miserable cry, Demon Venerable Li Sha was directly devoured by an ancient battle dragon. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.